Got it. And John, what about you?
Um, I mean, it's steadily growing here again. So, like, I've been in Seattle for like 2 months now, and when I came, it was super chill. And then over the last 2 months, like, week after week, I've seen the number of cases grow little by little, and people growing more and more cautious. So currently, it's like 50% people are chill about masks, and 50% people are a little paranoid. So pretty much in public places, people are like trying to stick to masks as much as possible. But like in my office and everything, we can be relaxed without masks.
But that's in Sweden. But Sweden is pretty much very friendly without masks and all that. They didn't care about. They didn't have any restrictions or anything, and kept it open. They didn't block. They didn't have any dates, so they didn't actually close the country down. Like they didn't
Not
have
at
a
all.
lockdown as such.
No. It was everything was open. Only like the large public spaces. For example, like the amusement park and the museums and everything. Though all of those were closed, but everything was just fine. There was no regulation of wearing a mask because they feel that they cannot impose such a strict rule on the people here. And everything was fine. I mean, Sweden was pretty badly hit because it all started in an old age home back in Stockholm, which is why the numbers are a little bad. But the country is huge and there are very few people here, so the chances of coming in contact are pretty less. And also, I think everybody is vaccinated now as well.
So basically, the chances of the COVID cases actually disappearing.
Yeah. There are like, so in the whole of Sweden, currently there are about 1,000 daily cases.
Okay, that's not bad at all. Now, can I request you guys, if you can, next to your name, can you put the country down as well so people know, if you don't mind? Because we have 4 different countries represented here. Okay, so it's going to be quite interesting to see the different viewpoints as we go through this.
Yeah.
Australia is exactly opposite. Masks are compulsory everywhere.
Actually, I was in New York. I just landed from New York back into Bombay today. And New York was 50-50, maybe 60 no masks, 40 things. But any restaurant that you went to, they need to check this what do you call it? The vaccination, the double vaccination certificate, as well as your photo ID. So they were quite clear. If you want to eat out, not a problem. But if you want to come into the restaurant, you have to do it. So they're taking precautions. I think John will also echo the same thing. They are taking precautions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hotels I've seen be pretty restrictive. Like the other day, I went to a pizzeria and it was a very short distance from the door to the table, but they were very conscious about having to make people wear masks. So yeah, I mean, they are like at least the people, common places. People are trying to stick very close to the mandates, and yeah, I hope this doesn't surge up a lot.
Okay, perfect. Rahul, what time should we start?
So we are live. We can begin.
Okay, so let's start, if you guys don't mind. Okay, welcome to the first ever Collegepond Virtual Mentorship Symposium. Okay, we have 35 trailblazers who have succeeded in scripting their thriving collegiate and global career trajectory across the span of 4 days. Our mentors will walk you through every aspect of converting your academic and career dreams in your success story. Okay. Today we'll have 3 sessions, right? 1 hour each, where our mentors will give a brief introduction of their profile. So what I would like you guys to do is actually speak about yourselves initially, following which I will ask the questions that I'll ask certain questions and I'll leave it to the floor to ask the rest of the questions. All right. The topic for right now, the first session, is demystifying the country and university selection process. So let's begin. What I would like you to do, Mahesh, all of you guys, can you guys briefly introduce yourself in a minute or 2 minutes or less, and then we'll take it forward. Start with Mahesh.
Sure. Thanks, Suraj. So my name is Mahesh, and I'm currently pursuing Master of Data Science from Monash University, Australia. So prior to that, I have like 6 to 7 work experience in finance sector, and this is a 2 years course in Monash University, and I am currently in a final semester. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Great, great. And Mahesh, when are you going to be graduating?
I would be graduated by this December, so December 2021. Yeah, I will be graduated.
And you're currently working. I take it you're currently working as well
Yeah.
in addition to studying.
Correct. So good thing happened because like after finishing my first year, so since I was pursuing the education in data science, so I got a similar role at Monash University itself. So university has this program which is like kind of they promote jobs for the students. So as a part of Monash University, I became their staff as well, and helping their HR team to do data wrangling and data science related stuff, which is kind of predictive modeling and all that. So good to get a hands-on experience, and yeah, so also
Did
solves
they
the
pay
budget
for your
constraint.
education because of that?
So yeah, they do pay me, and the pay is also good. So it's according to market standards, but only because the student visa, I have limited work hours restrictions, which works in favor of me also, because I can then devote the time equally between studies and work. And yeah, pay is also good. So so there are no budget constraints for me to. I can happily pay my rent through that income. Yeah.
Excellent. Saisha, go ahead.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Saitya. You can also just call me Shah. That's fine. Difficult name, I know. So I did my bachelor's in chemical engineering at DJ Sangvi, and it was sad to hear that they're closing the department soon. I also pursued my master's at TU Delft, and right now I'm pursuing my PDN's degree. It's a very specific thing here in Netherlands. It's called, the full form is Professional Doctorate in Engineering at TU Eindhoven. So I'm almost at the end of my first year, and yeah, going into my second year then.
Great. And let's go with John.
Hey guys, first of all, I would like to thank Collegepond for inviting me over here and having this. I hope it is super useful for you guys. So I did my bachelor's in computer science from Sardar Patel Institute of Technology in Mumbai. I finished that in 2018, and then in 2019 I came for my master's to the US, master's in computer science. I did it at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. And yeah, I graduated in May 2019, and currently I'm working as a May 2021, sorry, and currently I'm working as a software developer at Amazon in Seattle. So yeah, that's it for me.
So John, got a question for you. I mean, I'm interrupting you guys while I'm going through this, but this is a very interesting question that I have. You actually graduated in the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
How was it trying to secure a job during COVID time? I think I would love to hear that. And so would everybody else.
So, I mean, I would say securing a job was not at all that difficult. I'd say that when COVID initially struck, securing an internship was crazy because, you know, people were getting offers and offers were being taken back from even the bigger companies. So that was a crazy time. Like, you know, even people who had full-time offers from companies, their offers were rescinded from them. So yeah, because of that, the initial mood was pretty scary. Like, you know, every call and every interview opportunity that we were getting, there was a lot of pressure to, you know, convert it, because everyone felt like, you know, if you don't convert this and you don't take up this job, you know, you might not get another opportunity, because initially that was everyone was freaking out over it. But with time, it really became better. Like I'd say from January this year, things are very close to normal in most companies. So yeah, obviously I got my offer like last December, so I did not know that it was that the situation improved. But yeah, I think right now it's a pretty good time. I'd say, like the students who came in spring 2021, I think almost all of them secured internship at my university. So yeah, it's not as scary what it seems, it was, I'd say there were enough opportunities for everyone from my batch to get jobs.
No, that's great. So you had 100% placement, is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, at my university, yes.
Wow. And the university you went to was UMass Amherst.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, let's move to Diller. Mr. Sweden.
Yes. So I am in a part of the world where there are not many people. Not many people know about university in Sweden, basically. But so I started I did computer science in junior college, and I was like, okay, I want to do something about automotive, something related to automotive. But there are no universities in Mumbai that give you automobile engineering. I think there's one, but it's not. But it's not that great. So then I decided to do mechatronics, which is a completely new field from Mukesh Patel. So I did not know anything about mechatronics, robotics, automation. I just said I want to do something that'll give me a job, which is what everybody is looking for. So I did mechatronics. Then I realized that I need to study more if I want to get into automotive. And Europe is the best place to study automotive engineering. Germany is the mecca of all things auto. You have Netherlands, you have Sweden. So I got into Chalmers University for automotive engineering in 2019. I just graduated 2 weeks ago, and I did my master's thesis in Volvo cars. So I'm working on autonomous drives with Uber, actually. So Volvo and Uber have this tie-up, which is where I did an 8-month master thesis. And now I'm looking for jobs. I have there are a lot of companies here in Sweden. So there's Volvo, there's Koenigsegg, there is SKF, which is like the biggest bearing manufacturer in the world. They also sponsor Ferrari Formula One. And there's IKEA.
What you're telling me, jobs are not that difficult at all in Sweden. It's quite easy to get one.
No, it's really, really easy because the amount of students are less. And there are so many companies and so many opportunities that you can apply to any company and you'll get a job. Like, it's not that difficult. It's just because once COVID hit, Volvo was pretty badly struck, I feel, because they had to lay over almost 1,500 employees. But now they've started hiring back. And now they are hiring left, right, and center. So they have almost 150 or 180 job openings right now.
Wow.
And there were like 60 automotive students in my class, and there are 180 jobs in an automotive OEM. So, like, if you want a job in automotive or something, then Sweden is a place to come because you are not even bound by language. The official language for business is English. So
excellent. So
and no problems due to COVID.
Thank you for introducing yourself. I think there'll be a lot of questions that are propping up with the student fraternity. Okay, so let me start with an easy question. Okay, on what parameters did you finalize your university? Because you guys are coming from very diverse background. All of you guys are coming from very diverse backgrounds. So what parameters did you actually use to finalize your university? Why not Canada? Why not? Let's go with Diller. Why not Germany? Why not Netherlands? Why not US? Why Sweden?
Okay, so I applied to Germany, but Germany requires me to have language, which is the biggest barrier in Germany, I would say, for automotive at least. And automotive is something that's not purely mechanical based in Germany. It's also electronics, it's also computer science. So the requirements in Germany are huge and immense. So they need you to have good academics, probably experience, WorkX in Germany. They require you to have the language, at least 2 levels. So A2 is the certification that you need. That's the bare minimum. And then they will decide whether to give you a seat in the university or not. I got into TU Eindhoven, and I also got into Chalmers. So it was on me to decide. I decided Chalmers because automotive companies are plenty here. So there is Koenigsegg, which is one of the biggest sports car manufacturers based in Sweden. There's Volvo construction equipment, Volvo trucks, Volvo cars, they make ships. So there's Volvo Penta. So there are a lot of job opportunities. I'm not bound by language. In Scandinavia, English is the business language. it's a little cheaper as well when you compare it to Netherlands. Healthcare is excellent. You have an insurance of about 30,000 euros, which is great. You don't need to pay anything for it. Tuition fees are less, and it's really beautiful. So it's basically the Canada of Europe, if you would put it that way.
So I'm going to ask Sayuja a rebuttal to that.
Well, the thing is, I think I agree with Dilek to some extent about Netherlands being a bit expensive in general. And yeah, there is, so since my background is more chemical engineering, so the whole company also, English is largely used. Yeah, that was one of the greatest points of Netherlands, that unlike Germany, which can be very language, like you need to know Germany, else you won't make it. Unlike that, Netherlands is still relatively accepting for English. Though if you know the local language here, your chances shoot up significantly. And I'm not sure if I would say Sweden is the most beautiful. Europe in general is very beautiful. Netherlands is much better though. But for me, at least when I was searching for my university, I never really thought about the country as such. I was really looking forward to the program more. I was searching like, what is this university doing? How does the program look like? I went through their coursework. Because I did the more unpopular opinion where I decided, you know what, let's get something that's do something that I really want to do instead of worrying about a job, because anywhere you go, you're an immigrant at the end of the day. The company will have to pay you more. So that's something you will face anywhere and everywhere. US, you always hear good and bad stories. But yeah, I was really looking through the program, and that really looked interesting to me. And yeah, Netherlands, it's Netherlands after all. So that was one of the greatest things for me. US, I was like, didn't find any interesting programs for myself. Nothing spoke to me.
Got it. So let's go. I'm going to leave John to the end. Okay. So let's move to Mahesh.
Yeah, my story is a bit different. So because so I've already done my mechanical engineering from Sardar Patel College of Engineering, and also MBA in finance from Narsimanchi. So and with my work experience also quite a lot. And main thing was I'm married. So what happened? Like I was trying to choose two between. So I got two admits. One from University of Chicago. So my focus was to get into top university, and but my spouse also, she didn't want to give up on her career. So if I choose US, and then she would have to let go her career, and that would be huge sacrifice for us. So although the University of Chicago was a good opportunity for me to pursue in masters in business analytics, I guess, but I have to let it go, and I then choose a safer place, which is Australia, where she can work jointly, and as well as I can study. So that was a balance. So she does not have to sacrifice her career by moving with me, and then we can have a balance at least both. So economically,
so she pays
also,
for your education, essentially. She pays for you.
Yeah, actually,
very smart move.
Every semester fees I need to go to her and ask for.
So coming back on a serious note, so what you're saying is in Australia, your spouse can actually work while you actually pursue your this.
So if I pursue a master or PhD degree, then spouse gets unlimited working rights. So that was the thing which we look for. And I also targeted a top university. So I applied for UniMel and Monash University only because those were classified as group of 8 or the top universities from Australia to pursue Master of Data Science. And for Monash, I got a scholarship. So I choose Monash or UniMel. Yeah.
Got it. So let's go to John. John, you came from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Okay, so let's talk about your story. Would you think about going to any other country, or was US the place to be for computer science?
I mean, so when I was applying, I did consider somewhere like Singapore, because Singapore has a couple of universities for computer science that are at the world level pretty good. That's Nanyang Technological University and National University of Singapore. So I did consider both of those while. So I did apply to both of them along with applying to the US because I at the time of applying I did not want to take that decision, and later I did not want to regret. I did not apply at this place. I should have applied. So I did that, and I received 4 admits in the US universities along with UMass. I had Tony Brook, Penn State, and New York University couldn't, and from in Singapore I got National University of Singapore. So while NUS was definitely very tempting to pick because for years they had maintained their standing as one of the best in the world. In the last couple of years, they had increased their fees tremendously. And upon speaking to many people in Singapore, regarding the job prospects and how easy it is to get a job in the kind of work that you want to do. So when I applied, I was specifically interested in machine learning. So upon speaking to them, like the kind of job prospects in machine learning and the growth and things like that, I found that US overall offered a better return for investment because US for computer science students especially, I think it has a job for everyone interested in every aspect of computer science, be it machine learning or cybersecurity or systems, or no matter what it is. So yeah, again, when I took the decision of going to the US, I wanted to keep all my options open. So yeah, and UMass did not disappoint me on that front. It had like a lot of good courses in different streams of computer science. So yeah, right now I don't regret my decision at all because it has something for everything, for everyone. So I think it's important. I think US is a good country for people who have not yet figured out what exactly they want to do, because there are just so many options that you can come and explore and take a couple of semesters to decide where you want to, and then go for it in your last year.
Okay, so the question is, John, did you apply in the spring or did you apply in the fall?
So I had applied to like both intakes. To UMass Amherst, I believe I had applied to spring and got my admit deferred. To NUS, New York University couldn't, and Penn State, all 3 of them had applied in the fall. I did that because for spring, I initially had plans to go for spring, but then I just happened to, like, when they gave me a deferral, I just took it and went to fall 2019.
Okay. The question, fine. If you applied in the spring, can you elaborate? And I think one of the questions is going to come up is, what are the pros and cons of spring versus fall? Can you elaborate on that? Because you started, I mean, the rest of the 3 started in the fall, I would assume, which is the normal academic year start. Monash would be different. You started in Feb or you started in July?
I started in Feb, yeah.
Okay, Feb. So that's the start. So John, since you were the outlier in this group, okay, when you started in spring, what are the pros and cons of going in spring?
Oh, I actually started in fall. I got my admit deferred to fall, but I can definitely answer that question. So when I got my admit, I decided to dig that up a lot, what are the pros and cons. So right from the start, the one of the major cons is that you have a very short turnaround time from the time you receive your admit to the time you're required to fly. So that was one of the major reasons I got my admit deferred to fall, because I think I got my admit somewhere around November 15th or 20th, and they wanted me to finish my visa and everything, and I think fly by January 1st week. So which was it's a crazy turnaround time, because if you think about it, when you get an admit in fall, even in the worst case, if you get it like by March, then you're flying in August. That's 5 months compared to, like, say 1.5 months in the best case. So I think that kind of time is important, so that you make sure you prepare well before you fly. That's one. And the second major point is that in the US, for most science and technology programs, if you want to do an internship, you need to have completed 2 semesters physically in the US. So if I join in, and internships are done in the summer, the May to August period. So if I join in January, I couldn't have finished 1 semester by the time I couldn't have finished 2 semesters by the time I'm in May. So you'll have to essentially skip that summer if you want to do an internship, and then wait all the way till next year's summer. So that's actually the kind of the major reason why people don't people are not willing to go to spring, because it's if you want to do an internship within the US, it's not possible. Having said that, UMass Amherst, for the spring 2021 students, they did a nice thing. They somehow got the permission for them to be able to do internships after 1 semester. So 90% of the UMass students in the 2021 intake came in spring 2021, and I think all of them got internships and are happily interning. So yeah, but other than that, the major reason is internships, and other reasons are the short turnaround time. Yeah,
how did they achieve that, John? How did they achieve it after 1 semester? I thought the rules are that 9 months you need to wait.
Yeah, but they kind of started a new stream, and they called it a new concentration. I'm not sure how they achieved it, but I know for sure that they got the required permissions from the US government, the department that handles, I forgot the name, what it's called, but the one which handles the student visas and everything, but they got the required permissions. And yeah, I think I'm sure like 80-85% students are happily interning at major companies like Apple, Amazon, Google. And yeah, I think they've wrapped up their internships, and last week they started their new semester.
Okay. I just want to follow up on this internship thing a bit more. But before that, John, a question has come up is, obviously you got into NUS and all that. What is your profile? What was your profile when you applied?
So it's not something very eye-catching. I had a GPA of 8.13. My GRE score was 324, and TOEFL score was 110. Other than that, I had a couple of technical paper presentations presented in IEEE conferences. And yeah, I mean, then other than that, the standard resume stuff, a little bit of leadership experience, like, organizing events in college, then some attending some workshops, a little bit of social work. So I would say that more than my scores, I think the letters of recommendation and statements of purpose prepared with Collegepond, I think those played a big role, because ever in the 2 years since then that I've seen my friends apply, and yeah, having them seeing them go through the process, I think documentation has definitely played a very big part in my applications, especially in NUS, where I actually got a reply from them saying that the letter of recommendation looked pretty strong. So yeah, I was very happy with the way most of my documentation turned out, and I think that was one of the major factors why I got the admits that I did.
Okay, great. Let's open it a little bit broadly to the rest of them. Can you guys start working immediately when you reach there, or did you have to wait for an internship? I mean, could you get? Yeah, go ahead, Dilla.
In Sweden, like, you can just come here and work full time on a student visa. It is just that you need to fulfill a certain amount of credits in your studies to be able to keep your student visa. So, for example, you need to have 30 ECTS registered and completed.
How difficult is that? How onerous is that on you?
Oh, it is very difficult. So you can't, by regulation you can, but you probably won't be able to. So you can come here, start working as soon as you want. You can be a research assistant. You can work part-time at restaurants if you want to have some odd job, or you can also approach the big OEMs and ask for summer internships or just a short part-time consultancy jobs, kind of. And if you have a good profile, they'll probably just give you the job in the first week of you coming there. So I think Sweden is not that difficult to get an internship or start working immediately.
Okay, and what about you two?
Yeah. So I would say very similar to Dilar, like you can start right away. I don't exactly remember anymore what the regulations were about working part-time, but again, it's especially because chemical engineering in PU Delft was very intensive. That's why I don't remember much anymore, because we never really got time to think about it, because you're working on a quarter-to-quarter system. So every 3 months you're changing and you're back to the grind. So you can do part-time jobs like teaching assistant, and even TU Delft has its own website for, if you want to do jobs, they have a list of jobs that you can apply for. So in theory, you can start right away, and it's fairly decent pay also. It's only when I started my master thesis that I was able to get some time, and I decided to do a teaching assistant for one of the subjects, which was fair. Like I got some amount of money, so happy about that. But yeah, it's sometimes the study can be very intensive, and it varies from person to person how they manage their time, and also the study, because I know chemical and aerospace are very intensive. Aerospace at TU Delft is brutal, to say the least.
Yeah.
So it really
But
depends
let me
on the
ask
study.
you, there's a question that since you brought up aerospace, which country from all of you guys, 4 countries, would you recommend aerospace? Yes, no? Mahesh, yes or no in Australia?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
What are the
recommend
jobs?
Australia. So don't know about aerospace, but as far as engineering is considered, there is a bright future. So even if you see, if like some students want a PR opportunities or anything after that, so it's open for engineers basically. So mechanical engineers are in high in demand. So same goes for aerospace engineering as well. So there are good job prospects. So yeah. So
Okay.
that's why I can recommend Australia.
Mr. Netherlands, what do you suggest?
I would say Netherlands is also relatively good. It like TU Delft, I'm pretty sure is very well recognized for aerospace also. Though yeah, I've seen two different cases completely on two completely different spectrums, because one of my housemates actually at Delft, he graduated during COVID, and he was unable to find a job and he had to come back. While at the same time, I know someone else who got a really good job in ASML. So something I would say, yes, there are opportunities definitely, but there is so much more to getting a job than, just knowing if there are prospects out there. You're competing with a huge amount of people who are equally smart as you, if not more.
Okay, Dilar.
So I have a very, very, very good friend who also took Collegepond's help to get to Embry-Riddle University in Florida, which is insanely good for aerospace, and it's very close to the rocket launching center. I think it's like 30 minutes away from where they launched the SpaceX rocket. So that's a university that you could opt for. But for Sweden, I would say KTH is a really, really good university for aerospace. For jobs, ESA, the European Space Agency, requires you to be a European citizen. So getting a job there is kind of difficult. There is Saab here in Sweden, which also requires you to have Swedish knowledge because they make stuff for the military. So aerospace jobs in Sweden are a little scarce, I would say, and getting into ESA is probably out of reach because you need to be a European citizen. But if you just want to study aerospace and then apply for jobs elsewhere, then KTH is a good place to come.
Okay. I want to bring up one more question. One question that came up, and this is a very important question that a student asked. One of the students watching this has asked, and it's a very interesting question. What would you go for? A university, for the university name or the particular program in the university? What would you choose? And I want to start with John. What would you choose? Because you looked at NUS and all that. What would you choose?
I mean, if the program is famous at the university, then I would definitely go for the program because even UMass Amherst, it's not more renowned than say Stony Brook or even Penn State for that matter. Because both Stony Brook and Penn State are pretty overall good universities. Like for in all branches of engineering, UMass Amherst is just crazy good for computer science. The other branches are like relatively low profile. So yeah, I'd say that if the program is pretty good at the university and it's the program is well known, then I think I'll either take the program like I did at UMass.
Okay. Okay. And what would you choose? Do you guys all agree that university or the program is more, would you say the program is a lot more, you should focus more on the program in the university or vice versa? Just one word answer.
I think a program should have focus because that's your individual choice. I don't like just to give a Mumbai. If I like pursue from like let's say VJT or SPC, so I won't go for like civil engineering if I don't have any inclination to be a civil engineer. If I want to become a computer engineer, then I will go for the university which has those courses. So yeah, so I think program gets preference over the university, and it's about your individual liking because you need to have your entire life and you need to pursue that career in that particular field. So
what do you think, Mr. Netherlands and Mr. Sweden?
Uni. Sorry, not uni. Brain fart. Sorry. The program, hands down.
And Mr. Sweden?
Yes, the program is like that's the most important thing, because the companies will not look at your university ranking or how prestigious the university is, especially in Europe. They'll look at what you've done throughout your education, and if you like your education, you're probably going to do well in it, and you're going to be part of projects and teams that will help you grow. So that's what the companies look at, especially in Europe. So I think you should look at the course and you should like it.
Yeah, if I may also add something to this, this was an interesting point that was brought up during my master's actually by one of the PhD students. It's to do with the rankings actually, and how it's a self-feeding cycle. If you have a university that's high ranked and if it has a higher weightage for international students, then more international students would go there. Hence, the university climbs higher, and then it keeps on feeding its own self. So I would really suggest to everyone go through the program, see if it's for you or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question that came up when you look at university selection and country and university selection, one question comes up: do you require work experience? Should you get some work experience in India or anywhere in their home country, okay, and then start pursuing graduate education? Let's play 2-3 fields that I'm talking about. One is computer science, okay. Another one is robotics, for that matter. And third is any other engineering that you would look at. So let's start with computer science. And what do you think, Mahesh? In Australia, do they really want work experience, or can you come directly? Because I know you had 7 years of experience, maybe not related to what you were doing.
correct.
But what is your opinion on that?
So as far as computer science or data science is considered, so they do allow fresher. In fact, even if I have like experience in finance, but that was not at all related to data science. So I was also kind of a fresher to this course along with other graduates. So what I would suggest, like rather than work experience, I think a university, as far as you is considered, you need to prepare yourself for that course because if you want to pursue a data science, I think you should be better to have some basic knowledge about the programming language such as Python or R. That will help you during your course. So more than work experience, your knowledge matters. That's what I feel. Even if your work experience is less or you are a fresh graduate, that will do because once the uni starts and if you are pursuing a master level program, they expect that you have a basic background of all the technologies or all the programming they are teaching. So they start really at an advanced level and they don't wait for you, or you have to like then match the speed with other students because there will be people from IT background or the computer background with relevant workers and they will be ahead of you, and same thing will go ahead in the career as well. So,
So,
better
but
to
do you believe that experience will help get internships, or do you believe that internships are dependent on how well you do academically, then how well you network?
so if you have a relevant experience, then help. So for data science, anyone who has a relevant experience in Python or R will have an advantage definitely. But for me, it was not an advantage because for me it was completely a new field in stats and programming. So if you have relevant experience, yes, that helps.
But do you think that it's a deal breaker if you don't have experience?
No, it's not a deal breaker.
Okay, what about you
Because
guys? Do you think it's a deal breaker for if you don't have experience to come without experience to grad school?
Maybe I can say something. So a bit off topic, not completely, but I would say get experience first, only because you can then figure out, is this the field you want to work for in a long time? Because for me, that was something that really helped me out, where I did some internships. I did a year job at Reliance, and it really helped me figure out, okay, this is the field that I really want to go ahead. Because sometimes you do masters, and during your masters, you realize, wait, maybe this is something that I don't want to do. So that's just a personal opinion of mine. Apart from that, about the internship scenario, definitely having a job experience really helps out, because you have a, let's say, a much more advantage over probably your colleagues who don't have any experience, because you would know a few more, let's say, industrial things or terminology, how the company works. And it's not at all a deal breaker if you don't know, because again, there are a lot of people who come directly after their bachelor's to pursue this. And definitely networking is at the top, because LinkedIn is used in Netherlands at least very extensively. So you connect with a lot of people, you talk to a lot of, like, you connect with the seniors, they connect you to other people who help them get internships. And at TU Delft, we have to do a compulsory internship as part of a program. So we usually do get internships.
Okay. Can I request to, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Can I request you guys, there is some questions that are being asked that is specific to yours questions. If you can just answer it directly, each of one of you, if you can just go to the Q&A and the chat and just answer those questions. So then I don't have to ask those questions, so that it's for the benefit of that specific student. If you guys don't mind looking at it as well. All right.
Yeah.
What about in Sweden? Do you think that the work experience is necessary?
I don't think so. I mean, I had -1 year of experience. I took a gap year, and I was trying to figure out whether I should go to the US or to Europe, because I really wanted to study automotive engineering. And I took a gap year. I went to Amsterdam, I went to Brussels, I went to Go. I did everything. I learned German. I learned 2 levels of German. I did an internship in a completely unrelated field just to show that I did not waste the year. I did an internship in market intelligence, which is a completely new segue. So I applied to Chalmers, and in my class I have people who've come directly from bachelors. I have people like me who took a gap year, and I also have people who have up to 8 or 9 years of work experience. So it's kind of like how it's kind of like the university is trying to build a diverse profile where it looks at you from all different directions. It looks at you from an academic standpoint, it looks at you from an experience standpoint, and then it culminates everything together and then decides whether you are fit to carry the values of the university or not. So it's kind of like how you portray your experiences, how you portray your education, how you portray your the projects in your statement of purpose, that will help you get a seat at the university. That's what I feel, at least in Sweden. Yes.
Got it. John, do you need experience before you go to Amherst or US?
I mean, for applying for MS, you don't really need experience.
And from an internship perspective?
Yeah, from an internship and job perspective, I would say that it's obviously you are going to get more calls if you have experience. But having said that, I haven't seen, at least in the top 40, 50 universities, I haven't really heard of cases where new graduates fail to secure internships. And obviously, if you're an experienced person, the salary that you earn after getting a job is likely to be higher because they do respect the experience that you bring to the table. But if you come as a new grad, you start earning early in the US. So yeah, I'd say there are pros and cons to both. If you feel like you want to get jobs easily and kind of hone your skills a little before you come, then I would say it's good to get a couple of years of experience and then come to the US.
Got it. Actually, there's a question that asked a very interesting question regarding university selection. What if do you need to be in a metropolis to get a job? Or for example, there's a student that's asked is that if I'm going to ECU University in Australia, in Perth, okay, which is outside and planning to do data science, do you think I'm at a disadvantage if I'm not at a Sydney or a Melbourne when I'm looking for a job, Mahesh? In data science or computer science for that matter?
Yeah, so I feel as far as Australia is considered, the proximity matters. So if I'm in Melbourne, I have higher chances to get jobs around Melbourne. So if he's like pursuing at Perth, he has higher chances to get jobs around Perth, because when I got my even the casual or part-time job at Monash, so it was a time where everything was open at Australia, very brief time, maybe a 4 month, and they really look that I can go to the work and work for at least couple of days, and then other days from work from home. So proximity really matters. And yeah, so if you are at Sydney, then your chances are pretty high to get job at Sydney and like that.
Okay, but are there good opportunities in data science and computer science in Australia?
And data science is still upcoming field, and I believe people are figuring out what really that is as far as employers are considered. So because being a data scientist is a very high level post, so you can't just graduate from a uni and believe that you will get that particular role, but there are other roles such as data analyst or data engineer, and other roles at a lower level which you can get. So not particular data scientist, because it's kind of a very high position in the organization as well, but you can start with a data analyst or a business analyst, and data engineer is very in demand in Australia, because that role has quite like on the salaries also, it's very competitive on a higher
What are
thing.
salaries? What are salaries in Australia versus US, if I could comment on it?
So not sure about the US, but for data science, for a full-time job, the salaries are in the range of 120 to 150
Wow.
K. Yeah, and if you are a data scientist, so that is really at a higher position, it would be at within the range of 250 to 300.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Australian dollars.
Australian dollars, yeah.
Wow.
But that's very senior position. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, but 120, 150 is a good starting salary as well.
Yeah, but starting salary, as far as when I see the graduate programs, so this is for the people who are freshers right from the college, and they don't have even the work experience before masters as well. So many people go for the graduate program. So for graduate program, I see the salaries between 70 to 100 K.
Okay. And John, what did you say?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is the starting salaries, the range of the starting salaries you would expect people to earn?
In the US, if you are without experience, I would say 110K is what is an average starting salary. I've seen people go higher than that without experience. And if you're with experience, you can comfortably touch 135K, 140,000. Yeah.
Okay. And that's computer science. So what about you two? What is the starting salary average, if you had to guess? Dilla.
Yeah, so in Sweden for automotive or for any engineering background, I'm not so sure about data science, but like mechanical, electrical, or automotive, the starting salary is about 40 to 45,000 euros. That's
the cost of
comparable
living
to
is a lot lower than anywhere else too.
Yes, so it's not as expensive as any of the major cities in the US. Or you also have to pay like 50% tax. No, actually you have to pay like 33% tax kind of. but you have free healthcare. You have everything is basically free. You just have to pay tax for it. And but it's about 40 to 45,000 if you are starting off just after your master's. Again, if you have experience, you can go up to 50,000 euros probably. But 40 to 45 is like the average.
Great.
The
And
same in NL also. The average is around 40 to 45K per year. It's obviously a bit more expensive, but even right now with 20, let's say 20 to 25K, if you don't live vicariously, you can still save enough money. Like you can make your meets end. And there's also, maybe it's not applicable to most of the attendees today, but they have something with the age. So if you're 30 years and below, they can pay you less, so that kind of increases your odds. But if you're 30 and more, they have to legally pay you more. So that is a double-edged sword essentially in that case. So, yeah.
And I think in Europe it's more of work-life balance. So
Definitely.
if you it's like you can just wake up in the morning and tell your boss, I'm not coming to work today. It's my child's annual day. And he will say, you know what, take 2 days off, but live your life.
what?
And they will pay you for it. Yes. And you can take up to a year of maternity and paternity leave completely paid. And they can't ask you to join. Otherwise, you can sue them. It's just completely insane. The work-life balance that they give importance to is why they're happy. They get paid less than what you would get paid in the US for data science, of course. But they let you live your life kind of. You only have to work like 40 hours, and then you can stack your hours and then go on a long vacation. You have this time bank that you can store your working hours in, and then take a few days off, go around, have fun.
Wow.
It's really nice.
I mean, I would agree.
You're attracting me to Sweden a lot more as you go through.
I mean, if you tell them that you will work 10 hours, they will say, we won't give you the job. You will only work 8 hours, and then you will go out, go to your family, have fun, enjoy your life.
Mahesh is just hoping, and I think John and Mahesh both are looking at it and saying they're envious of this whole thing. Is it true?
No, so Australia is also a similar case. They work-life balance matters to them a lot. So in my case, because sometimes I have assignments, so when I requested my employer, just like the Indian way of doing things, so I told my employer that I will work over weekend, but not doing weekdays because I have assignment. And my employer, like my boss, told me that don't worry, you take the entire week off. Yeah, it's okay. Go easy on your work. It doesn't. So there is no strict deadlines, or you do your work, and if you are doing it sincerely, that's what matters to them. But they don't like push you, and you are not struggling to meet deadlines or anything like that. So yeah.
John, what about you?
I mean, at Amazon, I won't say it's a very ideal work-life balance, but Amazon is like a very nice place to start if you want to learn the hard graphs of software engineering. But having said that, I have seen a lot of companies shift towards giving employees a better work-life balance, because I see my friends at other companies and they have been given the freedom to work permanently from home, shift to a city where they have family living, or if they have their spouse living. Then companies like Oracle in the US, I don't know in India, but like companies like Oracle and Google and Apple have a kind of unlimited paid time off if you want to take a longer vacation. So I'd say it's a long time coming, but definitely the shift has started to happen, especially in the major companies. And I'm sure most of the other companies will follow suit if they want to keep the good employees around.
Okay. What I'm going to request the audience, whatever questions we've not been able to answer, okay, if you can just send it to info@collegepond.com. Rahul, can you just write the URL that they can send it to us? We will have the panelists answer this question. We'll aggregate, actually assimilate the questions, and we'll send it to the panelists to answer the specific questions and revert back to you. but if you can just, I think I'll just write info@collegepond.com. Just ask your questions there. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Okay. Last minute parting thoughts. I know we have another session coming up at 7 o'clock. So last minute parting thoughts. What are your parting thoughts with to the student community? I would start with Mahesh, Australia. A big thumbs up to Australia. Out of 10, how would you rate Australia, your experience in Australia?
It's good. So out of 10, I would rate like 8 out of 10. Just these guys are very strict with the COVID thing, because only with 100 of cases also they have lockdown and night curfews, and yeah. But apart from that, I think it's a great place to study and as well as work. No, only thing is the major difference you will notice when you come from India to Australia is the study environment. India is kind of a classroom first, followed by homework. Here it is homework first and then followed by classroom. So you need to prepare everything first, and then the lectures are just to solve your doubts and brief on the major concepts. And another good thing, just to share a fun fact with you. So here pedestrian get preference over vehicles. So if both of them approach at a signal, so pedestrian gets first preference and vehicle will wait for you to cross. So yeah, just wanted to share some fun facts.
Okay, so let's go to Diller. What do you think? Parting thoughts.
Sweden is a solid 9 on 10. I feel like, I think the main reason why you could look at other countries is just because of the weather. So in the summers, you have 22 hours of daylight. You won't know when to wake up and when to sleep. And in the winter, you have 2 hours of daylight. So, and I think this winter, it went to like -17 with like strong winds. And I still live in the south of Sweden. So if you go up to Stockholm, up to Luleå, then you have to be ready for that. But job-wise, education-wise, work-life balance-wise, and just the amount of nature and like the hikes that you can take here, I think it's a solid 9 on 10. I feel like, especially for students who are looking at automotive engineering and robotics, basically.
Great. Mr. Netherlands.
Yeah, so I'll refrain from giving a number personally, but Netherlands.
Why?
I'll end up giving it, let's say, just for fun's sake, I'll give it a 8.5 then, because yeah, I mean, again, work-life balance, like Diller mentioned, and throughout Europe, they really treasure it a lot. It's really nice. But yeah, I will, listening to his story, yeah, probably Netherlands not so much so open to all of this, but still a good work-life balance. Apart from that, studying really fun. You're working with in such good universities who are in the forefront of research, right? So it really opens up your brain to new possibilities. And apart from that, this is one of my small personal tweaks, but you don't meet a lot of Indians at the point, which is good because it really opens you up in your thinking way. Now I have now a few Dutch friends, Italians, Spain, and everything. So you really meet a wide
foreign
variety.
Language or no?
Sorry?
Did you learn any foreign language or no?
I am actually learning Dutch. So
okay.
So that's why, like, it really helps you, like you meet new people, new things, and it's really nice like that. So definitely a good place to study chemical engineering or any course.
John, go ahead.
I would give it a solid 9 on 10, purely because I think in the US, if you are valued a lot for your skills. Like one of my friends who's really good at mechanical engineering, even though the market for mechanical engineering is a little tight, she comfortably managed to secure a job at Amazon Robotics. Like they really went out of the way to keep her at the company. So yeah, I mean, they value a lot for your skills, and like I said earlier, you can take your career path in multiple ways. You can kind of decide that after coming here. The only thing I would like to just people to keep in their mind is get a good health insurance, because you don't want to be. I don't know how it works in other countries, but in the US, it's not really easy to just walk into a doctor's clinic whenever like the way we do in India, for any emergency. So like just go to an doctor whose clinic is right next to you. So yeah, appointments and all other thing. Yeah, so yeah, just get a good health insurance and you'll be sorted for a long period of time.
Great. I want to thank you guys. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to make a stupid joke, but it's fine. You can continue. It's almost the end of the session.
I want to thank you guys for being part of this. I think the panelists are I learned a lot through this discussion. And I believe the student community, the student fraternity has also learned a lot through this process. There are questions regarding loans and financing and all that, which is going to be the next session, because the next session deals with the whole idea of ROI on an overseas education. So we will actually go ahead and discuss that with respect to return on investment, whether you should take a loan, etc. But guys, I really want to thank you guys to being part of this. It means a lot to me, a lot to Collegepond, but more importantly, a lot to the student fraternity, because you guys are actually sharing your knowledge and your experiences, and that's what's important. And it will I can guarantee you it will help the student community to make a much more prudent decision going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for giving us this
opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have the next session starting in 2 minutes. I think Tushar is already there online. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk about ROI on overseas education. Thank you, guys. If you guys want to carry and be part of the next discussion, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, sure.
Sounds like good. Yeah.
I will take off because it's very late night at Australia. Yeah.
Okay, Mahesh.
Almost 11:30. Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. Night.
Night.
Okay, I'm just going to drop in and get a glass of water. In the meantime, we will start with the whole thing. All right, just give me 2 minutes. Hi, Tushar. Hi, Faye. How are you guys?
Hi, Suraj. How are you? Good.
Good. Long time. No see. No speak.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's start. Let me just give the general introduction that we have. We have a couple more people. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Nishit, how are you? And Shantanu, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time.
Yeah, I know.
Great. Okay, now we've got 6-7 people that we're going. The focus of today's discussion going to be is ROI investment on overseas education. Okay, we're going to break this topic down into various pieces. All right. The first thing we're going to talk about is minimizing the cost of education, getting jobs on campus. All right, and whether you should do it or you should not do it. A. B. Whether and how does one go through the process of getting it? So before we start, Faye, the newcomers, can you guys go ahead and just introduce yourself? Faye, go ahead. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. So hi, everybody who's joined this webinar. My name is Faye. I had taken the help of Collegepond back in 2017 to do my master's. I did my master's out in mechanical engineering from Stanford. I joined in 2018 and I graduated from Stanford in 2020. However, I did graduate at the start of the pandemic, so I could not get a job out in the US, and so I came back to India because of it. It took me some time to find a job in India because the job scenes were pretty bad out here as well. And I eventually managed to get a job in Cummins India Limited. And right now I'm working as a product design engineer for them in the engine business unit.
Great, great. Tushar, what about you?
Sure, sure. So I joined Carnegie Mellon for my master's in information systems management in 2016. I graduated in 17. I started my career with PwC, Goldman Sachs, and then started with Capgemini, and now I'm working in product management for a little startup called Secure, based out of New York.
Okay, Tushar, are you in India or are you in New York at this point in time?
No. I'm in India right now. I came back just before COVID for my green card interview, and then the interviews were scheduled, and I'm stuck over here till it's done.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, the Black Swan event has had a lot of victims, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Okay, Shantanu, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I'm Shantanu, and I went for my master's in educational psychology in 2018 to the Ohio State. And I graduated in 2020 during the pandemic. But I decided to sort of continue. So I'm in my PhD right now. I'm studying educational psychology, and I think I'm in my last year of coursework right now, and I'll be done mostly next year. But I think I'm going to stay back a bit at the school to do work on a bunch of grants with my faculty because we've been writing a bunch of grants together. I mainly research educational technologies and the applications to social systems, and also how machines become a metaphor for the mind. And I've been sort of looking at how cybernetics applies to psychology as well through my work. During this time here, like in the interim between my PhD and my master's, and during the summers, I've been taking up a bunch of jobs that are ancillary to the projects at school, and I've worked with Planned Parenthood on designing federal sexual education curricula that are technology assisted for over 3 states that have been sort of federally applied. So yeah, I'm really glad to be here to talk to you guys.
Okay, Nishit.
Yes, hello. I'm Nishit. I'm currently in Australia. I'm working as a quality assurance officer. I did my master's in chemical engineering. I think I came here in 2018. Yes, so I got my job. I finished my master's by 2020 July, and I immediately got my job, fortunately, by I think August or so. So yeah, I've been working since then.
Great. So the first question that's coming up when you look at ROI, return on investment on an overseas education, focuses on the idea of how do I minimize the cost of when I'm there? How many of you guys actually, by raise of hand, actually went ahead and got some kind of job on campus? Only 2 of you. Now, Faye and Shantanu, how did you approach that?
Shantanu, you can go ahead first.
Okay, sure, yeah. So during my master's, the way it at least works at Ohio State is that master's programs are not fully funded. So you have to pay an out-of-state tuition to do your master's here. Of course, I was not funded during my master's, but I did reduce the cost of my master's slightly by working part-time. So you're allowed to work 20 hours as a college student that is international on campus. So when I first got here, I worked as a behavioral analyst for the preschools on campus. And I sort of approached applying for this through the university's POS system. So we used to use this thing called Handshake when I first got here in 2018. So you can sort of apply for any positions that are open on Handshake and sort of send your CV in. And then when you first get here, you sort of have to get a social security number so you can apply for work. So the first thing that you should probably do when you come to the US, at least in your master's, if you want to work here is go to the government office, like the local office, and sort of apply for an SSN, and they'll process it in like 10 weeks, and then you can apply for your jobs and approach HR for these things. So that will reduce the cost of your master's a bit, but right now I'm in my PhD, and I sort of reduced the cost of my education even more because I'm basically not paying anything right now to get educated. I'm being paid to study here.
Shantanu, that's beautiful. Everyone would love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really, really helpful because I mean, it works differently in different departments, but during my PhD, so I work with Dr. Michael Glassman and with Dr. Tujung Lin and Dr. Eric Anderman, and all of them work on grants within the departments. You can either be funded by grants or by teaching positions in social science departments, or if your department runs a research center, you can be funded by internal money for grant research, or just research that is being conducted within the university. So right now I'm working on an IES project, which is an Institute of Educational Sciences grant that we got for $1.7 million last year. That we got funded, and it focuses on using technology-assisted 2D environments to teach kids social studies and sort of engage in argumentation with one another.
That's
Rather
awesome.
than, doing top-down education. So that's half my funding, and I'm also working on another grant that I wrote with Dr. Anderman, which focuses on delivering technology-assisted sex ed curricula, and that's been funded by the Department of Health and Human Services, and we got $3.7 million into the school last year for that grant.
Wow.
So yeah, we have an army of research assistants funded on these grants right now, and they're all 4-year projects. So like bits and pieces of our funding are covered through this. So I think I'm funded till next year on these projects, and then they're going to put me in a teaching position. Oh yeah, I'm with the Ohio State, guys. Sorry.
Okay, guys. Whatever questions come, just guys, all of you guys, whatever questions are there in the chat box or in the Q&A, since you guys, I think, have host access or have access to it, if you can answer it, that'll be great. Because I'm going to try to ask these questions, because some of those are pointed questions that are not relevant to everybody. So if you guys can just answer those questions, that'll be great.
Sure, yeah, I'll go for it. So I if something pops up, I'll just like, is that fine if I
just answer in text, because as we speak, you can't. It will be very difficult to go through it.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, sorry, Faye, continue.
Sure. So I didn't get a lot of funding, as same like Shantanu, I did not get funded for my master's, but I did have colleagues out there who did get funded for, they were in different departments and different courses. I took the most basic thing that you could do, which was a campus job. So Stanford has a bookstore out there, which is a part of like a kind of company that runs bookstores in different universities around the US. And I work there part-time Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, because that's the days I do not have any classes as such. So it doesn't make like a massive dent in the reduction of the fees and the entire expense that you have, but it does help you survive and, pay basic stuff like rent and utilities and, just general food and if you need anything. So that way it did kind of reduce that kind of expense that I had. But I do know that there's an option to get an RA or a TA or, different grants like Shantanu said, and that does help you reduce your overall expenditure for your overseas education.
Yeah.
Okay. Nishit, question for you. Did you, from a perspective of TAs and RAs, was there any opportunity in Australia with respect to getting any kind of assistantships?
Not really, not particularly in my case. But
in your class, from a class perspective, when you were actually studying, did you find students getting at assistantships, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. I did not get it because I was not eligible, but definitely few of my classmates, they were eligible, they got it, definitely. Look, I think it really depends on how many people not how many exactly, but who you know. Depends definitely on what sort of network you have. The more you know, the more you talk, it's beneficial for you. Ultimately, it's going to help you. University does help you out in these stuffs, but that really depends on the university. My university, I'm from Latrobe University, but so the program, the TA and RA program they had was quite useful. But for my case, it was not useful because I did chemical sciences, so it was not something which was very relevant for them. But few of the students from IT department and from computer sciences, quite useful for them. And they used to pick up a lot of students from those courses. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Tushar? I know CMU is a very rigorous curriculum. I've heard stories about it. Was it an opportunity to get TA and RA?
There are. So CMU works a little different compared to most schools. A lot of schools allow you to apply for TAs and RAs based on your past experience. In CMU, I'm not sure about RAs, but for TAs, you have to take the professor's course and ace that course. So that's how I got my TA. You're not eligible for TAs in your first semester. You need to take the course of that respective teacher for whom you want to be a TA. You need to ace that course, and then you need to show that professor that you're capable enough of handling the course load that CMU throws at you and handle a 20-hour job a week. So that's what I did. So the right to give you a TA is almost exclusively in the hands of the professor. You can send in as many resumes as you want, but if the professor already has their eye on somebody, there's a very good chance that that person is going to get it. So the way I went about this was I first aced that course, and after that, once I got an A, you'll know that most courses in the US do not give you an A plus unless you've done something exceptional. So what I did was I went out and there's a $300 certification for that course outside. I completed that certification on my own. So once I did that and I showed the professor that I'm not only good at this course, but I'm also professionally certified, he was very much happy to grant me a TA. So the way to get a TA is just to be in the eyes of the professor, just to be good with them, talk to them throughout your semester, show them that you're interested in their subject, and then of course, not you need to ace that subject. That's how it works in a lot of private schools.
Okay, John, are you there?
Yeah, yes.
And John, what do you think about UMass Amherst?
So UMass has a little bit of a strict policy for giving TAs, especially because they have to generate fee waivers. But having said that, I did manage that in my last semester, so it's not out of the blue. It's just that you have to be very persistent in tracking down professors whom you think will be okay with offering you a TA opportunity. And other than TAs, there are plenty of other funding opportunities on campus. It's just that they won't get you fee waivers, so things like graderships and being assistants in different buildings and things like that. So yeah, there are no lack of funding opportunities. Only the ones with fee waiver like TS are a little difficult to get.
So let me ask you a question. Were you able to, all of you guys, were you able to pay for what % of your living costs could you pay? Obviously fees you couldn't pay, but what % of living costs did you actually end up were you able to pay?
So with a part-time job, not a TA, you're saying, right? Like when I first came in my master's, I was working part-time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess it depends on what job you pick. So I worked, I think, 3 different jobs during my master's, and my last job sort of transitioned into my grant funding, which was pretty cool because I, like as Nishit said and as John said, I was able to talk to the correct professors and sort of work with the correct people and sort of strategize what I do in the department so that I get funded, like get a full ride for like the next 4 years. So the first 2 years when I worked at preschools, I think it all depends on how much they're paying you per hour. So I think I was getting paid like 20 per hour or something to work as a behavioral analyst at preschool. So I was doing like, I think 10 to 15 hours a week over there. So it was just barely paying for my expenses per month. Because like I live on at Gateway, which is like, it's US. I mean, it's OSU owned, if that makes sense. So the rent's a little higher than like other places to live, but it's super safe and it's like really close to campus. So I minimized my transport costs like that, and I was able to pay like all my rent, which is like around $900 plus just like takeout and like stuff like that.
What about pay? What about you pay? And Tushar, were you able to cover your costs?
No, I couldn't
Yes,
complete it. Sorry, Tushar, go ahead. Don't worry.
So I think it also depends on which city you're living in. But I was in Pittsburgh, and I was working 20 hours at $15 an hour a week. So for me, I was able to cover all of my costs in the second and the third semester once I landed with you.
Okay.
And for me, I used to work 20 hours a week because that's like the limit that they kind of restrict you to. But I lived in the Bay Area, and so my overall living cost used to be around $2,000 to $2,200 per month. So I could cover like approximately 50%, max 60% of it.
Okay. So the next question that I want to ask you, since you guys could cover some of your costs, how many of you guys actually took loans to study abroad? Faye did. Okay, all three of you guys. So Nishit, let me start with you. In terms of taking a loan, what is the, I mean, do you, in hindsight, was it a decision, was it a wise decision to take a loan? A. B, what is the repayment? What is the so-called ROI on it? How long did it take you to repay back the loan? Are you still repaying the loan? What do you expect in terms of the loan process, in terms of when you will actually repay the loan?
Right. So first off, let me just say this: if you are if you have any sort of concerns that whether if I'm taking this loan and whether I'll be able to pay back this loan, and if those are your concerns to hold you back from going abroad to study, please don't let them. Please don't do that. 9 out of 10 times you'll be able to pay off all your student debt within 3 to 5 years, in my experience. So I'll tell you about myself. For my experience, for my situation, we disbursed the loan amount for 2 of the semesters. So I had 2 years, of course, 4 semesters. So we disbursed the loan for two semesters, and if I remember correctly, my first semester fee was 17,500 Australian dollars. So for two semesters, that is what $35,000. And so let's say you have that much amount of money on that you have to pay back after you um, finish your education. Now, as far as I know, there are many banks in India which have certain provision that you can start your loan repayment, the principal amount and the interest amount, once you, even after you finish your course. Once you land your job, you can start your prepayment then. So that's a one way to go. That's very helpful. Another way is not another way, but additional thing is you can actually get some sort of scholarship even before coming to your course. So that's another way to reduce your cost. There are few banks which give additional discounts, or they provide less interest rate for your education loan for females. So that's another great thing. So it's just helpful to find know these things. And in terms of like I said, paying off your student loan, it takes about 3 to 5 years. Depends on how much loan that you're disbursing and what sort of lifestyle you have. But once you get a job, once you get a full-time stable job, it's not a big deal. Don't let that hold you back.
Would you say 3.3 to 5 years from the time you graduate, or 3 to 5 years total from the time you take the loan?
No, after 3.5 to 5 years after you graduate, once you start your job.
Yeah. And did you take a dollar denominated? Did you take a loan from an international vendor, or was it a local vendor?
No, it was a local bank. Yeah.
Okay, Faye, yourself.
Sure. So I took a loan from HDFC Credila, and along with that, I did take loans from scholarships. Like if people have heard of it, there's the Ratan Tata scholarship, there's the RB Setna scholarship, and there's the KC Mahindra scholarship. So I managed to get all three, and plus I had a loan scholarship from my mom's company. So together, that kind of covered up around 22 lakhs of my education. And out of that 22 lakhs, right, all of that is at 0% interest. So you're just paying back 22 lakhs eventually. You're not paying any interest for it. So it works out well. And they give you a lot of time to pay it back. For example, Tata has given me 7 years to pay back 10 lakhs worth of stuff. So which is quite doable, even if I'm even in India with a job in India with a lower income as compared to somebody in the US or Australia or something like that. And as for Credila, I didn't take a very big loan with them, but because they have a higher interest rate as compared to just a regular state bank, for example, right? HDFC and Kotak and all these guys have higher interest rates. So I didn't take a very big loan from them, but I have paid off 70% of that already.
Through your own earnings or through parents' contribution?
Both. Both. Like my parents have helped me out a lot in this, so that worked out well in my in my favor as such.
Okay, okay. And Tushar, did you take a loan or you didn't?
No, I didn't take a loan.
Okay, Tushar, I got a question for you. In terms, I know John did. Is John there? I don't know whether John raised his hand as well. Whether he's there to answer the question with respect to a loan. Okay, John, did you take? What's your experience with taking a loan?
I mean, I took it with HDFC Credila, and it was they are among the most chill ones for taking a loan. Like there's absolutely no problem in terms of getting the disbursement and everything. I've seen other loan providers like take a lot of time to send the money or impose a lot of restrictions. Like we'll just send it to the college bank account, or they'll charge a significant amount of money to send it to the US. So yeah, I have had a good experience with Credila. I think their rate of interest is a tad higher than other providers, but I think for the experience and the ease that they give, I mean, when you're studying in the US, I don't think you want the headache of, oh, my fees has not come, and oh, they have given it to the university. How do I take it from them? So yeah, I think I've had a good experience with Credila.
But in my question to you is, what is the repayment period? Is your guesstimation?
Oh, I think it would be a couple of years. I think a lot. I mean, I was lucky that I managed to finish off my living expenses while I was studying. So I have to just take care of the tuition, and I think in a couple of years I should be done. I mean, I've seen most people in the US be done max in a couple of years. So I think I hope to be done in the same amount of time.
Great. Jumping to scholarships, I think there are a lot of questions that are being asked regarding scholarships. And Faye, you got a scholarship and you did a phenomenal job getting scholarships. How did you manage that? And what did you do in terms of getting scholarships? Because I'm quite impressed the fact that you got 3 scholarships from 3 different institutions. So can you just elaborate a little bit on the scholarships? Did any of you guys try getting scholarships in addition to her? Or no?
I did. For my internship experience. During the summer.
Okay. So what do you mean Tushar, just go ahead and speak. When you say internship experience during summer, you got a scholarship. I'm quite confused.
So there's a number of rich patrons in the US who have personal scholarships where they want specific people to be a part of different banks. Like, for example, in my case, I interned at Goldman Sachs. There was a couple in New York, and they were interested in somebody because their son was also in CMU. They were interested in having a couple of people from CMU go out and work in the department that they were sponsoring at Goldman Sachs. So you just apply to them. If they like you, they'll pay for all of your expenses for coming to New York. They'll get you settled. They'll give you a house to live in, and you'll have no other expenses. And on top of that, whatever the company pays you is yours. So you actually end up getting and saving a lot of money.
Wow. So but that's impressive. Did you have anything like that in Australia as well?
No, but I would like to mention that there are many scholarships available which you can claim before coming to Australia. Like once you come, this is the mistake that I made, and I realized it way after. When I came here, I finished my 1 semester, and then I realized I was actually eligible for many scholarships. So that's the mistake I made. So it is important that and many universities, I did from Latrobe. Every single university here in Australia has different types of scholarships available. Could it be, different? So it is important to apply for them before, actually coming here. And I'm pretty sure if you are if you have scored more than 75 to 80% in your, let's say, HSC or whatever education that you had done before, bachelor's, you're already eligible. So make sure you apply before you come to Australia, not after.
Okay. Faye, you want to continue, and then I've got a follow-up question with on scholarships. So go ahead, Faye.
Sure. So I'm also actually going to answer something that somebody asked online. Somebody asked, when's the best time to apply for these scholarships? So I applied to these scholarships after I had finished off my applications for universities. So like, for example, Tata and KC Mahindra opened somewhere around January of the year. So like if you're going in say 2021, for example, it would have opened in January of that 2021. And it stays open for 2-3 months. They have an online application for at least JN Tata and KC Mahindra. RD Setna is a scholarship that's based for people only in Mumbai. So that's where there was that restriction, but there are different scholarships from other companies as well. So that's one. Also, universities do kind of give these sponsorships. Like, for example, Stanford has the Knight Hennessy program, which is like a scholarship program. But I made this mistake of not researching enough for it, and it's really messed up because like the application time for Stanford opens somewhere around September and ends in December, right? And that the scholarship program, the application for the scholarship ends in October of in that exact same time. So you've got to apply for that scholarship well before you even apply for the actual degree. So there you do have to do a lot of research to figure out what kind of scholarships you're applicable for. That's a given, and you have to start this well in advance, at least I would say 6 months before you even think of putting out your first application. And yeah, I mean, as for how to find these scholarships, honestly, for the Indian ones, at least, you just got to go online and search it. There are a lot of people who have kind of made Reddit posts about it. There are Quora posts about it. I do not know if you refer to Quora or no, but I did for this, and Quora did kind of put out some like an entire list of scholarships that people have applied for. So you can check it out there, and you'll definitely find answers from past students and people who've had experiences in taking these scholarships.
Let me ask you a question. How competitive is it to get a scholarship? And if for the Indian scholarships, you need to come back to India, or can you continue staying there?
So it is pretty competitive. Like, for example, for Tata, it's really competitive for Tata and KC Mahindra. Tata has like around 1,000 applicants per year. And you and I do not know how many get it, but I think it's around 30 or 40 who get it from here. So you're reducing from from 1,000 applicants to just 40. So it's really tough. It's competitive that way. But they don't really like discriminate based on the amount of money you have and like how much family money you have. Like you might be really rich, but if you deserve that scholarship, Tata will give it to you. The same thing goes ahead with KC Mahindra and RD Setna as well. They give you the scholarship because of your qualifications. They don't really look at your monetary background as such.
Okay. Coming back to, and Nishit, do you want to add anything? How would you approach for Australia the scholarships? Do you echo what Faye is saying, or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I came here for masters, and let's say you have done bachelor's before. If you have about 75 to 80% more than 75 to 80%, you're already eligible for 5 to 10% of scholarship. Now this depends or changes from university to university. Different states could have different regulations, rules, but you don't need to pay a whole fees there. So I mean, think about yourself. I mean, even if you get 5% of scholarship, that's a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, so it is absolutely important that you do a lot of research before actually applying. Like Faye mentioned before, it is absolutely important. Yeah.
Okay, great. Moving from scholarship to actually looking at building your profile. If you have a scholarship or you're working on campus, does it help you build a profile to secure a job? Tushar?
Absolutely it does. Most scholarship applications, for instance, the one I spoke of for summer internships, they do look at all of your past experience in the city. They do care about your community service. They care about if you have any political service. They care about the number of internships you've done, the sort of experience you have, the sort of students they want on record for their internships, because they're going to be publicizing your name everywhere. They're going to be telling people that they gave you money. They're going to be telling people that they gave the university to get you all of that money. So yeah, they're attaching their own name to you. So in that case, the better your profile, the better your chances of getting a scholarship. And absolutely, I don't have to tell you this, but just go ahead and build a very holistic profile. Don't just focus on one target. So you'll be eligible for a number of different scholarships based on your experience. There are certain scholarships that exclude you completely if you don't meet all of their criteria, and most of their criteria is very simple to meet. For example, in my case, they mandated 18 months of minimum community service experience that was verified by the nonprofit. So in which case, that came in handy because I had that from India.
Okay. What about the rest of you guys? Shantanu?
Sorry, I was answering the
okay, fine. Let's go to Faye then.
Can you repeat what you asked, and then I'll go after Faye.
Do you believe getting scholarships or TAs and RAs has helped you build your profile there for other things? on campus?
I would say definitely. I don't have personal TA and RA experience, so I can't speak of my own experience, but I can speak of my colleagues' experiences. And once you get a TA for like one course, for example, right, it becomes easier to get TAs and RAs for RAship for other courses because you've got that experience in that university, and people then start to trust your entire work process and how you work with things. As for getting a job, yes, because and you essentially become I won't say a complete subject matter expert, but you kind of do become an expert at that particular course. And if you're finding a job, especially in the course you've TA'd in, it becomes really easy because they do consider that as experience.
And not just that, a number of teachers who give you TAs or RAs are basically part of your social circle. When your professors get funding from corporate interests outside, they do have contacts with all of your big corporations. So if you TA'd or RA for them, they always you can always build a good rapport with them and ask them to put in a good word to their corporate contacts. So they can always give you referrals for them. So referrals are always on the table if you have TAs and others. It's just about the rapport you build with your professor.
So I guess in my department, it would work a little differently in terms of people having connections to corporate institutions because they have connections to research institutions like the Institute of Educational Sciences or the National Science Foundation or the National Institute of Health and stuff like that. And when you start working on grants like that as an RA, or if you start even teaching courses or even taking part-time jobs with these professors, you're like Faye said, you're more likely to get other jobs. So I started my research work with this position with the Academic Integrity Committee, which basically looks at cheating and stuff like that at the university. And I was sort of working with a team to change the moral code for the school in like I think just before starting my PhD. And then I did a pretty good job over the summer in that position. And they were just like, okay, we're transitioning you into like RA. And I had 50% of my funding just before starting my PhD. And my boss sort of just offered me funding because I had worked with him before and proved trustworthy. So just make sure you're good at your job to get more. And of course, if this relates to what you want to do after, it's going to be on your CV. So, and for a psychologist especially, I can say that this applies to like psychology. When you serve as an RA and you want to study psychology, pure psychology, it really helps to have done research on human subjects, especially on larger scale projects. So now that I have like investigated more than like 3,000 people and their mental models, like people are going to take me more seriously after I graduate. So just make sure you try and like get those positions sorted when you like get there, even though you're in a master's, talk to people and like be a part of a lab. Yeah.
So there is actually one more thing that I'd like to mention. I don't know about US, but here in Australia, so there are courses like masters by research, and many of the universities, if you're going for masters by research, many of the universities do give you substantial amount of scholarship just like that, just because you have chosen doing masters by research work. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you have particular interest in research area. It's totally different from regular masters work. But that's one way to get some sort of scholarship. And I think this is helpful for your permanent residency application as well, if you have done masters by research as well. So that's helpful there too.
Okay, I think the next topic that I want to bring up, and I want to spend about 15-20 minutes on this, is how many of you guys, and John, if you're there, are planning to stay in your respective countries for the rest of your life or an extended future?
Which
Yes.
country?
Okay. How many you guys both transitioned into India inadvertently, something that you guys didn't plan for it? Okay, but taking that into consideration with respect to transitioning into India, how's the experience been? What I know, Tushar, you worked there, you worked here. What is the experience? What's the culture like? Okay, Pei, you studied there and you've worked here. Okay, and would you want to go back into that environment, etc.? So let's start with Tushar on this.
Okay, sure. So I'm not going to deny that there is an initial shell shock when you come back because you're not expecting that. But given that, I think my experience has been very smooth. I mean, I know there are pros and cons to be over here or over there, and you just need to get acclimatized to that. But beyond that initial shell shock, the experience is always it's very smooth. You'll have no problems getting jobs as long as you focus on your studies, as long as you focus on getting skilled instead of just getting credentialized. And there's lots of growth in both of these countries. You realize that the corporate sector in India is also moving a little slowly, but it's definitely moving toward the best. You have a lot the culture. I'm talking about local jobs. So the culture is getting westernized even over here. So you'll find pretty much the same people. You'll find your directors, your VPs, a lot of people over here who've been educated in the US and have come back. So even if you have to, you don't have to fret about that. It happens sometimes, but yeah, I mean that's life. You'll enjoy it either you're here or over there.
So what would you, let me ask you, since you've worked here for the last 1 year, 1.5 years now, because you got stuck before because of COVID, that your green card application going through. I'm going to come back to your green card application. I've got a question regarding Nishit and you with respect to this. But before I come to that, US versus India. If you had a choice to come to India and stay in India, what would you do?
I think that the fact that I'm going through my green card application pretty much tells you that I do want to be in the US. Long term, I do plan to make my money over there and then come back over here for my retirement. That's the 30-year plan.
Okay, Faye.
So
go ahead.
Sure. For me, so I had a little bit of work ex out in the US. I did an internship between my first and second year of my master's, and I preferred the work culture out there as compared to India. I'm not trying to shame my company. I currently love where I work, and I'm getting to do what I exactly wanted to do and did my master's in. So, but there is a bit of a shock, especially in the way India works and the way the US works on like just how their work environment is and how everybody behaves. And I prefer the US environment over the Indian work environment because it's a little, I would say, laid back, a little more laid back, and a lot more easier. At least that was my internship experience and well, even my work experience out there. But yeah, so that's why I'd want to go back to the US or maybe try another country as well. So I'm hoping to like start my applications again for a PhD or something soon.
Wait, which is more laid back, here or there?
The US. I feel it's really, yeah, at least where I'm working right now, it's not so laid back as compared to what it used to be. I mean, it's how do I say this? Like the US understands a proper work-life balance while Indians do not. And that's the case at a lot of companies. I've had a lot of people who have told me that India has no work-life balance as compared to the US. But that's my experience. I'm pretty sure other people would have other opinion about it.
So dispute that. I do. I would so dispute that. I would never say that. It's. I mean, I'll agree with you that there's certain problems with the culture over here that do not exist in the US. But when it comes to work-life balance, I think you'll find both things. You'll find when I started working on a current company, it's a New York-based startup. I'm working US times. I'm working for them over there, and it's really relaxed, even over here. I mean, there are people in the US working 18, 20 hours a day. There's people over here who are working 7, 6, 8 hours a day. And it's on you. I mean, people over here, like I said, the culture over here, even if it's slow, it is moving it's trying to ape the Western culture, if I may say that.
She's saying that she's contradicting that. She's saying that it's much more laid back, much more set up there than here. You're saying that it's the opposite.
I honestly believe, I think it depends on the job you have.
I think it's basically copying the entire thing. They're trying very hard over here to copy that. So there is a lot of work-life balance over here as well. It's not just that in US you have work-life balance and over here people are working 20 hours a day. I think that's a misconception. most companies these days, be it big corporates or startups, even in India, do offer a great amount of work-life balance.
And what about you? Coming to, I know you're doing a PhD, Shantanu, so I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm going to talk to John. John, what about you?
I
Do you
mean,
work 8 hours a day, or are you more like a 14-hour work life?
I know I'm pretty sure I'm never going to get to a 14-hour work life, but I mean, like I said, Amazon is like well known for not really having the best work-life balance. I won't say they overwork you, but you have to like kind of put in like 7 to 8 hours a day. Having said that, different teams at Amazon have different. There's like we spend like around 6 to 7 hours a week doing fun activities like having games and going somewhere to a team event and everything. So that contributes to a lot of relaxing, although it's not voluntary. I mean, you for people who would rather spend the time sitting at home, it's not good for them. But like I said, a lot of my friends are having a lot of good work-life balances. Like they're able to contribute time to, and they're all in various companies like Pinterest and Apple and Google. So they are all able to contribute a significant amount of time away from work. Having said that, I think specifically in terms of work from home after COVID struck, I found a lot of my friends in India struggling for time because I would see them working till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. A lot of them, like, and some of them even got so frustrated that they ended up changing jobs. I did not see that in the US at all. Like, I know it may have increased by an hour or so, but I did not see anyone leaving their job out of frustration and being pushed to the brink. So yeah, I think I would prefer it in the US.
So Trisha, John, one question: how many hours do you work? You skirted the entire issue. How many hours do you put in a day?
I'd say seven. Yeah,
That's fabulous.
7. Okay.
Okay, Nishit, how many hours do you put in?
I think 8 hours. It really matters. It really varies a lot. 8 to 9 hours per day, but work-life balance is generally good. You have off on weekends, so that's good, unlike India. And yeah, generally speaking, 8 to 9 hours per day. That's I guess good. But
Okay,
but 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 I'd like to mention few of my friends who have been working from home. Post-COVID situation has been very horrible for them. Uh, since it's work from home, they have to be with their laptop almost all the time. Before COVID, it was all right for them, but now they said it has become difficult for them. But in my experience, but my job is more of a field work job, so I can't work from home. But I imagine for people who are working from it, it's a bit difficult for them in this situation. But I think that's just temporary. It will be better soon.
okay. I have the last topic I want to discuss with you guys with respect to return on investment for study abroad is the whole idea of work permit and the whole aspect of how does the transition happen from studying to getting a job in terms from a legal perspective. So Nishit, if you can go ahead and elaborate on that in terms of Australia, how the process went for you, when are you going to get the PR, etc. That would be really grateful.
Look, first of all, it's not going to be easy. Right now, this whole PR situation is so competitive and it is so volatile, keeps changing every 3 months. But I'll just give you a rough idea. Of course, most of us come here after for a master's degree for foreign education. Once you finish that, you get post-study work visa, which is of about 2 years. If you're doing master's by research, you get at least 3 years instead of 2 years. And there are a few other courses which are eligible for 3 years of post-study work visa. Once you're at the end of your post-study work visa, you need to start applying for your permanent residency visa. Now there are three different visas, permanent residency pathways they call it. One is 190, other one is 491, and one more is 189. So the 189, that one is skill independent. All of these visas are point tested visas. You need to have certain points to be eligible to be able to apply for these visas. Now the eligibility criteria is about 65 points, which most of us are eligible for them, but that's just eligibility criteria. The actual cutoff is around 90, 95. Now that depends on different types of for 189 visa, which is skill independent visa, that is the most difficult one to get. So the cutoff for last year, it was about 100 points, 95 points, which is quite difficult to get. For 491 visa, that is a regional visa. So the condition in that visa is you need to be working and living in the regional area. So you can't live there in Melbourne or Sydney for at least 3 years. And you're able to move across. So for cutoff, this one is the easiest visa to get as compared to other. So the cutoff for this visa was about 90 points. And the other visa, which is the most preferred visa, is 190, that is state sponsorship. You can live in metro area, but you can't leave the state. I mean, you can either live in New South Wales or Victoria or whatever state that they designate to you, but you can work in metro area, of course. So the cutoff for this visa was about, again, 95 points. Every year it is getting more and more competitive, and people are finding new ways to gather more points. It's all about the points, but it is possible. It's not impossible. There are some other ways to go or gather more and more points. It is possible, but it's, again, like I said, it's very volatile and it's very competitive.
Would you anticipate that? Where do you stand in the process right now? Because you graduated in.
Right now I'm on my post-study work visa, so I have another year before I start applying for my permanent residency. But most likely I will be going for state sponsorship visa, or I could probably go for regional visa as well. So the thing is, before you actually come here for education, you should probably give it a thought. Let's say you have come here, try to think about it. What do you want to do after finishing your course? Of course, get a job, start working, pay off your student loan. What next? It's generally a good idea to have some sort of the rough planning, whether you want to stay here. Now, of course, once you come here, situation may change you. Then definitely your thoughts may change. Definitely, it's definitely could change. But if you do decide to live here, it is really, really helpful if you do some research even before coming for your coursework program for your education, because few of my friends were aware of this. They purposefully applied to universities which were in the regional area. They took the courses which were eligible for extra PR points. So that helps. If you have finished your master's education in regional university, you get additional points. If you have done your coursework program by research, you get additional points. Now, I did my master's from Melbourne, and my course was regular master's coursework, so I was not eligible for that. But I got my job here in region area purposefully. So I'm actually not living in Sydney or Melbourne. I'm living close to Canberra. It's a regional town, so that's helpful for my PR application because I'll be getting additional points for that. So that way, it's generally a good idea to have some sort of idea of what you want to do after you finish your post-study work visa.
Great. I want to talk to John and Tushar. Tushar, just explain your process.
Sure. So the way it works is once you get out of university and you get your job, you have 3 years of STEM OPT. Every year of your OPT, the company applies for a lottery H-1B visa. And once you get an H-1B visa, based on your performance, the companies have the prerogative to apply for your green cards. And this can take any number of years based on the category you're part of. My category, for example, is separate. I'm self-sponsoring my green card via family. It has nothing to do with employers right now. But the way it works for employers is after you get your H-1B, they'll apply for your green card. You'll continue to stay in line. And once your green card application is fixed, which means you have what the US calls a priority date, once you have that date fixed, then you can get your H-1B renewed every 3 years continuously till your date becomes current. And once that does, then you get your green card. This can take, as of today in the US, anything between, if I'm not wrong, 10 to 16 years. So, which means for 10 to 16 years, you'll be renewing your H-1B.
Is it easy to keep on renewing the H-1B?
I would say that this depends on who is president. Is it the Republicans or the Democrats? The Democrats, of course, are going to be more immigrant friendly, so you won't have many questions when you raise your renewal applications. But if it's the Republicans, then of course you need to be very, very well prepared with your applications. Make sure that you always are in touch with the legal department of your company, which will be making your application. Make sure there's no mistakes, because if there's even the slightest hint of a mistake, a non-immigrant friendly administration in the US will make sure that you're questioned about it. So just be 100% certain about sending in your applications while working with your VPs in your respective companies.
Great, great, great. And John, in your case, you in the H-1B already? Have you received the H-1B?
Yeah, so I got lucky that way that I got my H1B even before I started my job. So I kind of had like 4 shots because someone like Amazon, they allowed me to be a part of the H1B camp for this year even before I started my job. So I ended up getting it, and I have also started my green card process. Other than that, everything what Tushar said was pretty much spot on. I just like to add to it. If you are a part of the bigger companies like Amazon and everyone, Amazon, Google, which have offices like around the world, if you don't end up getting H1B in all 3 years that you try, what they do is they send you off for like 6 months to a year to another country like Canada or somewhere in Europe. I think that's left to you, and then they bring you back on L1 visa. So they are very protective of their employees, and I think that's why, like, if your aim is for a job only, like, you want to just earn and be secure, then I think you should aim for a company as high as possible for these very reasons, because they'll be very protective of you.
Great, great. Okay, before we move to the next session, which is focusing on the entire job placement scene, okay, and how to secure a job, building a resume. Okay, last minute parting thoughts, Tushar.
Okay, I would just say that don't just focus on ROI once you get over there. I think focus on your return on investment from the very beginning. I think it's just like Faye mentioned. There's a number of scholarships that begin before you even start applying for your degree. There's a number of things you can do in the US to reduce your costs. For example, like me, I was able to live on my PA income because I by nature I'm very frugal. I really don't care about the latest shoes, the best brand T-shirts, things like that. So as long as you keep your expenses low, you'll be very easily be able to make up your expenses from any possible job. Focus on what's more important. Focus on learning more than just securing a job, and you will certainly secure a job. I wish you all the very best. You can always contact me for any help. I'll be always available.
Okay, let's go with Faye. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Would you say study abroad definitely for everyone in your age group that who graduated with the undergraduate program here, that it did make a significant difference to your life from a lifestyle perspective and your vision and your perspective? Did it open it up? And would you say that it's worthwhile making the investment even though you need to take a loan?
Yes, I do believe it's worth it. Going and getting an overseas education is not something that will help you to improve just career-wise. You start learning how to live by yourself and start learning how to handle, major incidents, experiences, accidents, anything that can happen right out there. You start to learn how to manage it yourself, and you can't rely on family back home in India. So it does change you from it changes your personality and obviously improves your career. So I do believe it's completely worth it. Sure, for some people, it is expensive. I can understand you have a lot of loans to take. But if you look at it on a long-term perspective, having that master's degree from a recognized, very, very, very famous university or a recognized university does play a part even when you're in your jobs, because it gives you a guarantee of a promotion over somebody else or something like that. It's going to always benefit you. So don't look at it from like, okay, I'm going to have to pay this loan off in the next 5 years. Look at it from something that it's going to change your life for the next 15 to 20 years of your life. Like, it's going to completely change it that way and you're going to be one level above the rest for sure. For sure. So yeah, it definitely makes a difference.
Aside from everything that Faye's already mentioned, I'll just say something a little more controversial. If you don't have the IIT tag in India, I would say that it is absolutely worth going to the US and getting yourself credentialized over there. Alongside great learning, India does recognize most good schools in the US, even if you have to return a paper. So I think it's an investment worth.
Great. Nishit.
In my opinion, the best sort of return on investment is about your personal growth. I don't know. I mean, if you're living in India, and it's the situation back in India. We are living with our families, and we are very protected, and we are in our comfort zone. Once you get out, once you start living independently, you have to get out of your comfort zone. So it's amazing. The best sort of return on investment is about your personal growth. You upgrade your skill set. You become a better person. You take care of your own finances. You take care of your own entire life. So yeah, definitely it's worth it. That's the best ROI you can get.
Okay, great. Shantanu and John.
For me, the best ROI, I guess, is getting to do research and getting paid for it, because nobody really does that in India. You know what I mean? Like, human subjects research is like done in hospitals, and I've worked in hospitals in India before on a CIPLA grant, and that was great. They did not pay me as much money as they do here to do these things. So that's definitely my return on investment. And after this, I guess with regards to jobs, it's going to be much easier for me to get into the university system and, get a visa and get a green card and stuff like that, because it's nonprofit and it's just faster in these institutions. So I guess that would be my return on investment in going all the way through with this.
Okay, John.
I would say that, I mean, in terms of purely in terms of money, I would say, like, as long as I keep doing my work, I don't think I should have a problem in the foreseeable future. And but having said that, I think for me, on an equal footing is learning to value my parents, I think. Because now that I look back and I think the number of things my mom used to do at home every single day, and me having to do that, I literally cook like once in 3-4 days and keep it for 3-4 days, and she used to do it every day. So and dad having to go to work every day and like coming back and still somehow keeping his calm every day at home. So I think I have learned to value them a lot, and I've definitely, like, even though I've been away from home for the past couple of years, I have grown very close to them. And I think once you come out of your home, you will definitely see your parents in a very good light and understand them far better. And yeah, that's definitely been one of the bigger learning experiences for me.
Great. I want to thank you guys all for joining us. If you guys are more than welcome to join us for the next session, which is planning after the MS, which is going to focus more on jobs, how do you secure a job, etc. So if you have the time, you're more than welcome to join us. If you want to take off, you're more than welcome to do that. It's up to you guys.
All right.
But thank you very much. I think the responses that you guys, the value that you guys added was truly incredible. I learned a lot. Even though I've done this for a while, I actually learned a lot through this whole process in terms of doing it. Joining us in addition to this, okay, in addition to people that are there currently, are 4 more students of ours, okay? I think 2 have already joined. Guys, have you, Nikhil and Vatsa. Okay, Nikhil, would you start? Let's just wait for a couple more minutes, okay? In terms of joining it. Just a quick question for Tushar, if he's still around, okay? Or John, how quickly can a company apply for a green card? In the case of Amazon, how quickly did they apply for a green card? Because it's going to be, anyway, we're going to be asking these questions in more detail. Or let's hold on to that question. I will ask these questions more in detail as we move to the next step. All right? Which is,
yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that at Amazon, you are eligible for green card on day 1. So yeah, I mean, the moment you enter, technically, if you speak with your manager, they can just recommend the application on your behalf, and you can start it off.
Great. Okay, so let's start with even Vidhi's here. Hi, Vidhi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Okay. How are you?
Good. Good to see you guys after a long time. All right. So joining us, in addition to the rest of the guys, Faye, we can connect. Okay, good night. Goodbye, Faye.
All right. Bye-bye. Sorry, bye-bye. I need to leave right now, but yeah,
all right,
bye.
Faye. Go ahead. Okay. So joining us right now, we have Tushar, Vidhi, and Vatsa. Okay, we're expecting Priyanka as well to join us. She'll probably join in a
Hello, guys. I would ask you to wait for a minute. Suraj will be back in some time.
Okay, sure.
I think you're on mute, Suraj.
Okay, can you hear me now? My net went down. So what I was going to say, I don't know why I got lost you guys. Okay, but what I want to do is the whole purpose today is focusing on planning after the US. So I would want each of you guys to introduce yourself, okay, because you guys all are working somewhere or the other, okay, and then we can take it forward from there. So can you start?
Sure. So hi, the last name in my name is
Hello?
silent. It's hey, can you hear me?
What's up? Can you start?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, no?
Well, I can hear you. I'm not sure
Okay.
if others can.
Okay, thank
I
you.
can hear you as well.
Yeah, I think it's just Suraj sir right now who's not able to hear me. But so I'm Vats, and I'm currently working at Socure as a vendor risk officer, and I'm based out of New Jersey, but I'm currently visiting Chicago for a week, and it's nice to meet you all.
Suraj, I think you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. Priyanka, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Good, good, good. Okay, I think I'm back online with the Airtel connection right now. Okay, I moved from Geo to Airtel, Airtel to Geo, whatever. Okay, so why don't you guys introduce yourselves? So what's a start?
So hi, the last name in my name is Silent Suraj. I don't know if you got it earlier, but it's Vats. And
Okay, sorry.
Don't worry about it. So I currently work at Socure as a vendor risk officer, and I'm primarily based out of New Jersey. And it's nice to meet you all.
Great. Can you just give your education background as well once?
Yeah, sure. So I graduated in 2018 from Syracuse, I did my master's in information management with a certificate of advanced studies in information security management. And right after that, I joined Ernst & Young for a little over 2 years. And I made the switch to a Midtown-based startup, which is Socure and my current employer.
Great. And did you have any work experience prior to joining Syracuse?
No, I did not. So I graduated in 2016 and I did my master's right after. So I did not have a work experience as such.
Great. Okay, let's go to Nikhil.
Hey, hi all. My name is Nikhil and currently I'm studying at in the final phase at Purdue. So I graduated in 2016 back in India and then worked for 4 years. And currently I've been interviewing for product and strategic roles. So in the final phase.
Okay, great. You'll give us a good experience of how the job scene is as of now.
It's great actually. Like companies are pouring like jobs like anything. You have so many options. You can pick and choose whatever you want. It's just about getting the referrals done and having your story ready. There are so many jobs in strategy and product. Like you decide on the project or you decide on anything, you will have the project. You will have the job open here.
Wow. Okay. That's good to hear. I didn't expect it, but I think you're giving me a total boost. Okay, Vidhi, come on.
Hi all. So my name is Vidhi and I have recently graduated from Rutgers University. I would say December 2019, and I did my master's in information technology and analytics, and currently I'm working as a senior analyst product management at which is based out of New York.
I think we lost Suraj again.
Yeah, I think he's got to switch back to a stable internet connection for this thing to work.
But I assume he'd want one of us to go next. So.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, I'm just having some internet issues at this point in time. My apologies. Okay, Vidhi, did you give your background? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh yes, no worries. I can start again. Hi everyone, my name is Vidhi, and I completed my master's from Rutgers in December 2019, and I did it in information technology and analytics. Prior to that, I had a year's experience in quality engineering, which is testing. And after that, I decided to come back. I decided to come to US, pursue my master's, and currently I'm working as a senior analyst product management at Worldwide.
Wow. Okay. Priyanka, I remember you worked in BNP Paribas before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Hello, guys. So I'm Priyanka. I had 2 years of experience prior to pursuing a master's in States. So I went to Southern Methodist University. I did business analytics, master's in business analytics. After that, I worked in John Deere for 3 years. And then an opportunity came in Facebook Ireland. So I took it. So I'm a DE now, data engineer in Facebook.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think we all already know about John. So, okay. So the first question that deals with when you talk about planning after the MS is how important is the internship in this whole process? And before that, how important is work experience before you're going for an MS? So let me start with Vidhi and Vatsa.
Hey, so sure. So I can talk a little bit about the internship, and there's a popular opinion that only folks with internships get a full-time job, which creates an unnecessary pressure at all times on certain individuals that, hey, I need an internship, and if I'm not, I'm behind the curve. But that's contrary to popular belief. That I know a lot of my friends who did not have internships during the course of their education have secured solid jobs upon graduation, right? So while it does help and assist your case, it's not a breaker or a deal breaker, if I might add, to you getting an overall job at the end of your graduation. So, that's really what I believe. But I'd love to know what Priyanka thinks and what Vidhi think as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so I can talk about my own experience. I was actually working very hard to secure an internship, but the whole COVID scenario just ruined my plans. Somehow I managed to contact a person who was offering unpaid internships. So I kind of grabbed that opportunity and somehow worked for about 3 months, even though the work was not that good, but somehow I had something to put on my resume. So I wouldn't say that internship matters. It all depends on how you work and how you portray yourself.
Okay, so you're saying that internship does matter for a full-time job, or it does not matter?
I think sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. I mean, of course, if you have internship, if you have experience, it will be an added bonus. But if you don't just be disheartened. You will have ample opportunities to do good and secure a good full-time job as well.
Priyanka, go ahead.
So my structure was very different because it was just a 9 months program, so we didn't have internships really. It was just straight to job. They rushed us into getting a master's, 33 credits in 9 months, and they just pushed us into the world, go find a job, right? So I don't really. I know one thing, that my BNP experience was very valuable because it was fintech. So I got a lot of interview calls from fintech companies, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, etc., etc. But will I say that it's the most important thing? I wouldn't, because I know some people who did get an internship but then struggled to get jobs, and I do know people who didn't get internships but still managed to land up on their feet. So I think it's just about right place at the right time.
Mr. Nikhil, because you are right in the midst of this whole thing. So what would you have to comment, because you had COVID?
Yeah, so the thing is, internships don't really matter if you have work experience, because then you have something to tell about with the past experience. So with my course, again, like Priyanka, it's 11th month course, 36 credits, and we really don't have time. But during the interview process, they generally don't ask why you are not an internship. They generally want to build on your experiences, what you can share. I do have friends in other fields who have like the 2-year course, the normal 16-week semesters, those courses, and who have not done internships, but are very good at what they're doing here. Say, for example, they might take a TA or an RA position, or might do multiple on-campus jobs to overshadow the internship story. So when they are talking about those stories in the interviews, it doesn't really matter if you've done internship or not. You just have to know your basics, and you have to portray that it's marketing basically. So you have to portray yourself as I know things.
Okay, John, what would you say on the same question?
I would agree with what Nikhil said right at the end, that you really have to portray yourself well, especially on your resume. I can't confirm this, but I've heard from a lot of people, including recruiters, that a lot of them will just perform a keyword search on your resume and see that if you have the requisite keywords that they're looking for their job. So it's very important for you to make sure that you give a very detailed portrayal of yourself on your resume. I won't say internship is a deal breaker, because I have seen a good number of cases of people who, without having an internship, have secured jobs. So having said that, obviously having an internship definitely helps, because like I said, it adds to your resume and it just gives you a lot of content to write. If you've worked on something specific and you described that well. It just adds to how people see your resume, and if there is a keyword search happening, then it just adds to that. So yeah, the focus is on making sure you build a good resume, making sure you have described everything that you've done so far well, and definitely the calls follow. I mean, I haven't seen people who haven't got like at least in computer science. I mean, specifically, I haven't seen people who haven't got like 4 or 5 calls if they are looking for it. Some of them settle with their first job offer. So
okay, can I request you guys as you go through, there's going to be chats that are specifically focus on each of you, questions for each one of you guys. If you guys can answer it along the way as well. Okay. So you guys all talk about building a resume. What does that mean? Okay. What does building a resume mean? I mean, people say build a resume, build a profile, build this, build that. But you know what? In layman terms, what does that mean? So let's start with the one who's actually going to be recruiting out right now, Nikhil. What does that mean? You mentioned that. Building a profile, building a resume. What does that mean?
So basically, I would say like within the first few months into the program, I had a fair idea what I want to do, say product management or a strategic roles. So I started out by looking at the current job openings and what the job description was, taking out those courses, and then setting and introspecting like based on my past experience, how if someone asked me why do you want to do after a tech-based role, like I was a developer and then it worked into sales. Now why do you transition into product? So if there are any gaps, make sure you cover those gaps during the curriculum time. Take courses, work on it, like have a research and credit-based study or something like that. So have those things in your resume. That is basically building your resume. So keep in mind what you want to do and then bridge the gaps.
Okay, what about you guys in terms of the resume? What do you view about the resume in terms of what would you include in the resume? How do you build the profile? How important is the aesthetics of a resume? What should you include in a resume?
I mean, there's no right answers here, right? So it's a matter of seeing what works for you, and there are multiple ways in which you can know what really works. So in terms of tangible outputs, right? If you're getting rejects, that's a good thing, meaning people are taking a look at your resume, but you might not be the right fit. If you don't really hear back, it's when you start and think about, hey, what really is wrong, or is my resume not speaking for itself when I upload it to these various job sites, right? So it's a trial and error process where I know a lot of folks who have different profiles, right? Because if you take a wide enough course, you have the ability to apply to different roles. So with people who have different resumes for different profiles, it's a matter of seeing what works for you, keeping it crisp and concise, removing the verbose elements that are in a resume. In a typical one, when we start out new and when we don't know what the market seekers are looking for, and then just refining it on a constant basis, right? So I would suggest that everyone that I know has given me a tip that revisit your resume every once in 3 or 4 months and just make it current. So I think just staying on top of it and then seeing what really works for you, getting feedback from your mentors is something that I'd recommend.
What really works for you?
Some people like pretty resumes. Some people like black and white resumes. Some people divide it into 2 columns. Some people don't even have a resume. They have a link on their resume and their picture, and it takes them to a whole different portfolio, right? So you have the ability. The thing is, unlike laws and regulations, there's none around resumes. So you have the ability to be as unique as you wish. I had a pretty different approach for my resume as well. So it's just what you feel like doing, and then seeing whether it works for you, or if not, you cannot just stick to it. You got to make some changes around.
Okay, Vidhi, coming to you.
For me, I mean, most of the points have been covered so far. There's one thing which I would highlight here is someone just mentioned previously that keywords. So keywords are very important to have in your resume. And I would also say that for getting the best resume out in the market, I would recommend you refining it again and again after probably 3 days, 4 days. If you want to be at the tip of applying to a job and securing it. You want to get it refined every time you face a rejection, so that you know that this is what probably the recruiter wants or the company wants, and majorly try and align your resume as at the most resemblance to the job, I would say the job profile or the job posting.
When you say adapt it and you say keywords, if you can just expound on it, that would be great.
For keywords, so I can talk about my own profile. So I was probably looking for data analyst, business analyst. So for that, there were terms like analytics, there were terms like dashboarding, there were terms like proper, I would say, like Python, SQL, all those kind of skills. And I would say these are the main ones which I could recollect currently.
Okay. So do you think that having those buzzwords or the keywords in your resume somewhere in the whole text is very important to the process?
Yes, because nowadays the resumes are not, I mean, I wouldn't say not, but majority of the resumes are not read by humans. They're read by robots. And these robots are designed to pick those keywords out of your resume, and they build their own resume. And that resume will actually tell you that what profile this person is looking for. So for example, if I have to say, if you're looking for software engineering, and your profile should have something related to coding and sort of front end, back end solutions, those keywords should be there. Whereas you're looking for analytics, your resume should have keywords pertaining to analytics. Because if you have those keywords, your resume will be built up by the robots as an analyst or as an data analyst or a business analyst.
Got it. Priyanka, what is your thoughts on that?
So I think that resume is two components. One is the layout, second is the content, right? Resume is like, if you're in States, is very different. Resume in Europe is completely different, right? In States, they push you to do one pager, give us a one pager. We don't have the time to read everything about you, right? In the EU, it's more like you can talk about your stuff. You can have more than a page to talk about everything, give details, right? So it depends what your market is, where you are targeting. That's one. Second is when you look at layouts, right? Like some of you mentioned that there are bots, right? If you have boxes and stuff, it's not going to pass it properly, right? So you want to make sure that your layout is very clean. Another thing that they taught us in visualization classes was the top left corner of your resume is the most important real estate. So don't waste it. Don't put words in there. Rather put keywords like your skills, Python or project management, relationship building, event organizing, troubleshooting, etc., etc. All those skills should be on top left, the ones that are very key to your job. That's one. Coming to content, I think we need very clean and concise content. That's one. Two is, I always like to think about, and this is something that they really emphasize in Facebook, that you should have metrics. You know, when you're doing projects, when you're doing, when you're doing a job, you should know what the end goal is. So when you say, oh, I wrote a code which does X, Y, Z, it's not giving me much. Give me what it did, like what was the impact? Give me that you saved $11 million in fines by doing something. You know what I mean? That shows impact. And I think putting that perspective when you're writing your resume, having that thought that, yeah, I'm going to put this because I actually saved the world. I saved my company. I made an impact. I think thinking about your resume like that is going to go way ahead than just, putting these things down that I wrote a code or blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, everybody writes a code. Thank you for writing a code and doing your job. But what I would like to see is that you're a leader. You know what I mean? So that using those words, like those action words, that you led, you spearheaded a project, or you saved money or compute or whatever is key. So that's my take.
Great, great. And John?
I would say what Priyanka just described was a real resume masterclass. So it can't get any better than that. All I would want to say is that see, when you make your first resume, it is likely to be bad. Okay, so don't be ashamed of asking people for opinions. Don't be ashamed of, because there are a lot of experienced people who have done this time and again, and don't be afraid of asking a lot of people, no matter where you are, whether you are in India right now applying for MS, ask people whether once you come to the US and there are mentors and everything. There are people in the industry who will look at your resume if you approach them on LinkedIn. So don't feel afraid to ask people. Talk to a lot of people, get them to review your resume. Eventually, you will observe the common points that everyone states have to be there in a resume. And that's pretty much everything that Priyanka stated. But yeah, like if you don't remember that, then you can always talk to people again and again. And after the 7th and 8th time, you will definitely settle down on something that really looks good on you. But yeah, you'll have to talk to a lot of people and don't be ashamed. That's all. Like you feel, I still have my first resume on my desktop, and it has like barely 7 or 8 lines on it with a font size of 16. So yeah, just don't be afraid. Talk to a lot of people. I'm pretty sure you'll come up with a really good resume.
Okay, what's more important, the projects that you do there, the projects that you did in India and engineering, the projects, or work experience in terms of the layout? Priyanka.
So I would say that because I did have a concrete work experience of 2 years, I did emphasize more on that. But I have mentored people who haven't had work experience, and I've always told them, and people who are like, this audience is someone who's going in right now, going into their master's program. I would highly recommend them to pick up projects. And before you pick up projects, make sure you have metrics defined to gauge the success of that project, because it's going to help you write that content. So I have my work experience, but even these projects, you can just put it in there. Make sure that you only put relevant projects to the job. I have seen people just dump all those projects that they've done, over the course of 2 years or a year. I would recommend them to just put the projects that the job wants. Meet us where we want, like meet us where we are. That's what I would ask people to do. Another thing that I would like to add on top of this is, I said quite a lot of things about content and stuff, but I know that at least my school had a career place where they would write a resume for us, and they would actually train us for mock interviews. Don't be shy. Please take those, because you've essentially paid for those. So I would really recommend everybody to go take those up. Get a mock interview, get resume done by them. Keep going back and forth and work on your resume. It'll be worth it. That's my take.
Okay, Watson, Vidhi, since you didn't have experience and you went there, what would you highlight? Did you highlight the projects you did there, or the projects that you did in India, or how? What value did the projects in India have to the whole thing? I'm not trying to downplay it, but I'm just trying to understand it.
No, absolutely, right? So when you're searching for that internship as your first gig, right, and when you are having a hard time putting something in your resume which is tangible, I did rely on my undergraduate projects and research papers and portrayed them in a way that the recruiters were looking for. My first resume, to resonate what some of the folks said, was terrible, right? I wouldn't even look at it myself again. But that's where we all started, and just converting those items into better and better things in terms of your faculty research or your teaching assistant experiences, eventually, build you up to that first internship, right? And this is just my belief that when you're looking for an internship, the recruiters or the companies do not expect you to know a lot of things, right? They're taking a chance on you in most cases, and they understand that someone who's going to be pretty raw is going to be coming in, and adequate training is provided during the course of those 3 or 4 months, right? So I wouldn't stress too much about I need to be the best at what I'm doing to get an internship. The internship itself is going to teach you a lot of these aspects that are going to build you up for that right job. So again, I would just say that, just get some of these items that support your overall profile. I cannot stress enough the importance of a good cover letter to support your application, because that really differentiates a regular person with the same job profile and a typical resume from someone who's taken some time to write a specific suited cover letter. And that just shows the interest that you have in that particular role.
So how long did you guys, Nikhil, how long did you spend on creating a resume?
So it took me like more than a couple of months to actually get my resume done. As Vidhi was talking about the bots, automated bots. So currently there are tools on the internet over you can submit a resume, submit a job profile, and it will compare and give you the reviews. So it took me a lot of time based on that to tailor my resume. I have around 4 resumes for 4 profiles, which I still keep on iterating based on where I'm applying. But yeah, it's gonna take around 2 to 3 months to get your resume, like final product done. Then the remaining part is where you're applying. Just add a few points, add a few keywords, and that's it. But yeah, it's gonna take around 3 months.
Really, continue.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to add one more thing to what just Nikhil said, was that I remember in my school, I had a specific portal named as, I can't recollect the name, but I'm pretty sure the counseling services at all the universities do have a portal wherein you can just put in your resume and get the resume done perfectly, as what Nikhil was saying. So, I mean, that's what I just wanted to add that. I'm sorry to cut.
Okay. Did all of your schools have career placement cells?
Yes.
Okay. How effective was the career placement cell vis-a-vis outside? Who wants to start this question?
I can
Go
go
ahead.
if
Either
Vidhi,
Vidhi
you
or
can
you.
go. Vidhi, please go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Vidhi.
For me, I have a complete different experience. I don't think it helped me much. It was more of me connecting to people on LinkedIn or talking to seniors that helped me majorly. My counseling services was, I would say 50-50, not that good, but they did provide us with all the tools, but they did not have perfect guidelines, because the person himself was not you could say not qualified. But for me, what worked for me was networking on LinkedIn, talking to seniors, talking to people. Yeah.
Go ahead, Priyanka.
So I would say that like for me, they helped me with my resume, and like I am not that great when it comes to English, so I did struggle a bit to put the right words there. So it was, I appreciate whatever I got. I didn't land a job with that resume, to be very, very honest. I did not land. However, I do appreciate all the work they put in to get me with mock interviews. I don't think I would have gotten this far without their help when it came to mock. I took like 3 mock interviews, and they did a very fine job there. And that's usually star-based questions, because of course they won't train me in tech, but they were able to train me in star, which was great, right? Because I probably still do, but I don't know. We are basically modest, right? When we are talking, and it was more of a cultural thing, that in India we are very modest. We say we, and then she pushed me to say I. It's not we. It's not we who is interviewing. It's you who are interviewing, and you need to say I, because you did it. So it was a cultural thing for me. I would say that was something that I really value. But resume writing, like I said, I didn't land a job with that resume, but I'm still grateful that it was there. It gave me that peace of mind that, okay, someone's there to correct my English and my grammar, which was good.
What about campus fairs? And Nikhil, what about campus fairs? Was that something that you can bang on, or you can bet on, or do we move outside the purview of the college resources?
So campus fairs are going to be a thing where you just interact with the recruiters. So even I have been to campus fair where I interact with recruiters, submit my resume, and ask the feedback. So that is one thing which I've got from campus fair is company specific recruiters will look at the resume and tell you like what you can change, what you cannot. And when it comes to application, outside resources, you have to go outside. Like, you cannot bank on the campus space. Only thing about campus space is networking part of it and getting feedback on your profile. What I can improve, what I should do more, what I can reduce. That is one of the main thing about campus fair.
And John, do you guys echo the same opinion on this?
I would say to an extent, but typically Syracuse has a very large career fair, and there are known good actors who come and recruit folks for specific roles. And your network of seniors and people who graduated in the past have a set path of obtaining that job, right? So I would say it depends on the school and the level of companies that come to that career fair. For me, it was a lot more different because I got my first full-time job via the career fair at Ernst & Young. But my internship that I secured was totally remote, right? And so I would say it really depends on the school at which you are currently in. And I think we undervalue the seniors at any university because the faculties are there for us, the career services are there for us, but someone who's lived in those shoes not too long ago, right? Just a year ago, can speak best to the hacks, the what works, the what does not, the don't pay attention to, and the little intricacies of an application or your overall life there, right? So I would say to be resourceful with your seniors and have an open conversation with them, because some of the best advice that I've gotten is from my seniors.
Okay. Same thing, I think, John, do you echo everything that's been said till now? Or do you want to add something?
Pretty much it's the same things, I don't think career fairs are necessarily useful for getting jobs as such in most universities, but yeah, they definitely give you like a couple of pointers to improve your resume and the way you pitch yourself, the way you have a starting conversation when during interviews. And yeah, I definitely think seniors are the way to go. You should talk to a lot of people who already got jobs, already got internships, and see what they think they did right. And yeah, that's it. I don't think there's anything to add to that.
Let me ask you one question. What is the yield factor? When I define yield factors, how many jobs you apply for versus how many calls you get versus how many actually come to conversion, okay? Versus the whole harrowing experience of how long it takes to do this, okay? This is a question that students should realize as they walk into studying abroad or thinking of moving abroad to work. It's a very big exercise, okay? Getting into school is one thing, but getting a job is equally difficult. So let's answer those questions directly. Vidhi, since you're smiling away, go ahead.
Oh my God. So for this question, I think if I consider my case, it took me about more than 4,000 applications. What? Yes, I am not joking. It took me about 4,000 applications to finally land to this job. I don't know what the reason was. Probably it is COVID or something else. I don't know, but it took me a lot. And I would just like to say this to every student out there, that jobs in US is depending on luck, hard work, and persistence. It depends from person to person. A friend of mine got the job probably immediately after we graduated, but for me, it took me months. I graduated in December 2019, and I secured it I graduated in 2020, December 2020, and I got the job in June.
How did you stay for that long?
So there are ways and means. You could secure your OPT days in US. And I don't know if this is the right forum to talk about, but there are ways and means you could secure your OPT days.
Vidhi, we'll talk separately on that.
Sure.
Okay. Let's continue with the whole idea. So how many hours do you think you spent on a job search? I think you spent 5 full months on it.
I think finding a job was itself a job for me. So
Okay.
I basically started right from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The probable office period, and I used to apply almost everywhere. But not just applying randomly, tailoring my resume to each and every job posting that I came across.
Okay, let's go to Priyanka.
So after listening to Vidhi, I don't feel my story is going to be this depressing. I thought I'll go towards the end because mine is absolutely a nightmare. It's a car crash, and I didn't want to shock people. But I graduated in May 2016. I didn't have a job until January 2017. So it took me 6 months to find a job, one. I had 23 interviews. And I think where I went wrong was jobs, and it was a difficult time. Trump, it was election time. Trump got nominated, he became president, and it was crazy, things were bad at that point in time, and we don't want to go political, but yeah, it was very difficult, right? So it's not going to be a cakewalk. I know people who have got jobs right after graduation, right? So you can be one of those as well, but you can be an extreme case and you can be like me as well. But I hope this will still inspire you. You'll bounce back on your feet wherever you are. Like, even if you take 6 months, it's fine. You will get there eventually. So 23 applications. Now, the problem is, why do we have to do so many applications? Is because of visa sponsorship. Sponsorship is a big thing. They want to make sure that you are authorized to work, first of all, and you are authorized to work with your OPT, right? But they also are worried about, okay, this person is just going to be for 3 years. Why am I putting so much effort to train this person, and blah, 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 right? So that is another aspect, and that's why people do get a lot of rejects, right? So applying smartly, I would say, is a key to do. I don't think I applied very smartly. I was just applying, like I was looking at a job, and you are in that situation where you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's 6 months, I don't have a job, just apply to whatever comes up, right? But I think that applying smartly, that is kind of important here. Like, you want to make sure that these guys will hire you. I know so many people who have gone through the interview process, cracked it, and then they've been told that we can't hire you because you don't have authorization. How silly is that, right? So I think the first things is you don't, and I don't think it's a bad thing to just say that, yes, I do need sponsorship. Yes, I want to be here. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad thing to be open about that. I think, yeah, so I would say just apply smartly. There are forums. I think there's H1B jobs, something like that. You can actually take a look at which companies do sponsor or have sponsored in the past for an H1 or for a GC, for that matter of fact, and then apply to those companies. There were so many startup companies that I applied to. I cracked the interview, but they didn't go forward because I didn't have a work authorization. So I think work authorization is the key reason why people like us have to apply to 4,000 plus jobs and give 23 plus interviews.
I would assume Watts and John had less of a thing. Let's get some encouragement here. Watts, you got it through Career Fair, so you didn't apply to many jobs, I take it.
Yes, but I would just say that searching an internship for me is something where I resonated on the levels that Vidhi and Priyanka spoke about, where, I realized that the only lesson that I took was I got into the game a little too late, where at crucial interviews where I thought I would be a good fit, just because I did not have enough interview experience or, the fear of getting rejected or not knowing what to say in a first interview at the first time got me a little behind, right? So the thing that I would recommend is, let's say you're a fall student, right? The moment you get there, you get settled in, start applying to internships just to get a pulse check on what's out there for the summer of the next year. Because what that is going to do is it's gonna allow you to fail over any amount of times that you want to for that time when it's right and you want to get that job that you're looking for, right? So just go out there and just give interviews, right? They're not gonna like yell at you or something. The worst that they're gonna do is reject you, and it's okay, because when the right opportunity comes in, you've messed up enough times to not do those things again.
John?
I mean, yeah, I would agree with what said, that I kind of had this experience during internship. Like I applied to a lot of places. I would get like barely 1 out of 20 or 30 of them would reply back. And now I think I must have applied to like 500 plus places, and I must have got like 2 interviews. So 2 or 3 interviews max. A lot of them sent me initial rounds, but a lot of the jobs that you see online may not even actually be active. You don't know when they were posted, or you don't know if they're actually recruiting, and they just want to see what the job market is like. Having said that, during my actual job search, I did get lucky. I applied to like 10 or 12 places, and like I initially right at the start, and I got interviews from 2 of them, and I converted 1. And then the moment I landed my H1B, I stopped looking for other jobs because I did not want to like jeopardize that. So yeah, I was on the luckier side, and I am going to tell you that you are going to see a lot of people getting lucky, but the average person has to go through the grind of looking for applying to a lot of places, primarily because, like I said, a lot of those jobs may not even actually exist. So don't get discouraged. Keep pushing yourself. You have to believe, because you will get a job, and you have to keep pushing. You can't look at someone and say, oh, he got in 1 try, so why can't I do that? Oh no, the world is against me. No, you can't be that way. So yeah, just make sure you push yourself through the grind, and eventually you will come on the other side with a really good job.
Well, the last person I want to talk about is Nikhil. Nikhil is actually going through this grind right now. So Nikhil, what is your view? You've heard about this 4,000, 6 months, okay, 12. Where do you stand in this whole position? Now, since you're looking, you told me that the opportunities are endless. It's a phenomenal job market. So where does it stand today for you?
So I actually started out a bit early. So I worked with the Career Development Center in my college. Started out to plan out like how to go about doing it, because even like what Vidhi and Priyanka said, even I heard the same stories, and having a 4-year work experience, I have a lot of friends here, and even they shared the same story. So it's all about planning. One thing good is that all the big companies have something called as recent graduate programs, where they directly hire you from college. So you not essentially have to go to the job market. They have their schools mapped out, and they will directly recruit you, and there are less number of interviews and a higher chance of getting in, because they have fixed number of colleges and fixed graduates they are looking for. One such thing is with Amazon. They have 4 programs running currently, and if they essentially require somewhere 2 to 3 years of work experience, and with those applications, you open up to about 50 job applications, 50 job positions. So, and it's not that difficult to get in those programs as well, and they pay you handsomely, because their thing is they're looking to develop leaders. So they will take you in for like 4 years, and they will say, I'll make you a category lead or something at the end of it. So that is one thing which you need to target. Like not many people know about it. So you need to proactively look into those programs. Sit with the Career Development Center and tell them, I need to get into this, get me the link, because they can help you with it. Secondly, coming to outside job market, yes, I have been applying to about 15 to 20 jobs a day. Nothing more than that actually now. But yes, sponsorships is a thing which is making it difficult, because Big Four currently, I think Deloitte is not offering. Accenture has stopped giving giving sponsorships. So there are companies who have stopped giving sponsorships. So you need to be very selective. Like you have to read the entire job application before applying, because there is one line at the end of the very job application that you need the authorization. So you fill everything and then you get a reject. So I think I'm going to be applying to more jobs right now, because they're opening up. So probably get it early. Otherwise, 4,000 is the number.
Vidhi doesn't want to go through that nightmare again in her life. Okay. Let me ask you a question, and this is a question directed to Priyanka, which is I'm very curious to hear. You worked in the US.
Yes.
Then you moved to Ireland.
Yeah.
What prompted you to actually move from US to Ireland, and how is the work-life balance? Why did you do that kind of move where US is supposed to be a mecca of technology?
Yeah. So so there are a few things there, and in all honesty, I was the chosen one when it comes to Trump's administrative executive order, where you just deny H-1Bs without any reason, right? So I was one of those people who was probably very few among the very few, hopefully, but I was one of those. My husband was in States, and we both were in very difficult time before I was about to leave. I also had an offer from Amazon, actually, which they didn't they didn't keep up because of my immigration status. So towards the end, like in January, and it was crazy. So in January, I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to apply. So I started applying in India because I'm someone who needs to do something. I can't just be ideal. I need to, after that 6 months, those 6 horrendous months of just applying, I was like, I don't want to sign up for that. So I started applying in January, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to apply. So I started applying in India. I got an offer from India as well in Mumbai, because I was like, okay, I'll go back to my family. And then I applied to Facebook, and this recruiter from Chicago, because I was in Illinois, like I was in Midwest, and he reached out and he's like, you work for John Deere? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, wow, okay. We have positions in London and Ireland. Would you be interested? And I was like, hell yeah, why not? So I just interviewed, and they really liked me, and they flew me out. They paid me good money, and I just landed here.
So your husband moved to Ireland as well, I take it then?
Yeah, they moved me. They took care of me. And my husband didn't move. My husband is in India. He's in States. We got married last year in India. We are stuck in COVID. So when I told him that, dear, I'm going to take this job, and he's like, yeah, sure. You always wanted to go to Europe, and you wanted to experience that life. Take it. And then I was like, okay, so we'll do this 4 months thing. And then COVID happened, and then there was no 4 months thing, so we couldn't see each other every 4 months. So I was like, okay, yeah. So what do we do? So then he's like, okay, let's get married, because that way we will be able to see each other at least. So we got married last year in COVID. And then now we are like, okay, what do we do now? Because immigration offices are still closed, and there's a US EU ban. So what do we do? So anyway, that's a crazy story. And but anyway, yeah. Overall, I kind of feel that moving to Ireland was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to realize that there's more to life than work, and so States and EU have very different cultures, even though.
What are the differences?
So differences.
You might prompt the other 4 also to look at EU then.
I don't think it's for everyone. Yeah, so States is more of a workaholic culture. It's more about getting yourself glued to a lazy couch and working. Ireland and EU is more about, okay, we live. Okay, so you tune out at 6 in the evening, you start at 8 in the morning, and then you have a life. You go for a dip in this way, like dip in the ocean. You do something. You make something of your life. You learn to play music or whatever. You know what I mean? So there is that culture difference. There's also pay difference, right? EU is very socialist, so there's 52% taxes. Ouch, right? So there's that, and it's more in Scandinavia, right? In Scandinavia, it's about 60%, but the healthcare is free, and there are other things that go along with that, right? In States, healthcare is horrendously priced. It's not for everyone. So there are differences. States is capitalist, EU is socialist. So it depends where you want to live. I kind of like living here. I know that my taxes are going, it's helping someone, you know, I'm paying for an old woman somewhere who needs the money. So I feel good about it. And there is actually a very good website which says, where's mytax.com.ie, which actually shows like what is the breakdown of your taxes, where is it going. But yeah, like there, it's different, but yet the same, you know. So I think so with Ireland, the thing is, the advantage is that they don't have corporate taxes, and that's why companies are here. You know, like Facebook, Google has a very big presence in Ireland. Facebook also has a huge presence in Ireland, and the reason is because the corporate taxes are very low, and to make up for that, they tax us, right? Because we are in the higher paid income group, so we get taxed here. But anyway, whatever that is, I think it's about choices. Like, what do you prefer, right? It's closer to home. It's I feel comfortable here. There's gun laws and all those things are like there are no guns. Basically, another
it's
thing.
Very safe. Ireland is very safe. You can actually keep your window open and walk out. No one will come inside. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So I think it's a great place. I really feel people are very warm and welcoming. I've never had racist experiences, partly because Ireland has a history, like they were travelers, they were on the receiving end in history, so that's why they don't do something like that to people. So again, like that's just a few things, and you just have to pick your poison. Like, what really matters to you? Are you okay being being on the receiving end of a racist occasion? Sure, if you are, go for it, right? If you're not, and you want other things in life, so it's just about picking. Of course, money and things are less in Ireland, but I just picked it, and I think I don't regret it. I think it changes you in ways, you know, like.
Okay, last question I have for you. Parting thoughts. You have the student fraternity here who stood with us for the last 3 hours, so with different topics. But what are your parting thoughts to the student community who are looking to potentially study abroad? Who wants to start? Since you've been quite quiet.
I would say just go. I would say just go for it, right? Why not? Just keep it simple and go for it. There's a lot of things that you learn and figure out, but if not now, when, right? Just go for it, I would say.
Great. Vidhi.
Last things that I would like to say is just be yourself. Just go out, explore, work hard, and eventually you will end up where you actually wished or dreamt of.
Nikhil, I know I've dealt this situation with you when you were here. Okay. Tell me, you're having experience there. It's been 1.5 years, I believe, since you left here.
I left in December 2020.
Oh, sorry.
Then January.
Sorry. 6 months, 7 months. So now tell me.
One thing I'll tell the students is explore, don't be afraid, and make friends. Like, don't be restricted to your own cohort, make friends across your colleges. Like, no matter if you are in a software engineering background, make friends across profiles. That will help you a lot. You learn a lot actually. And when you're actually sitting for like working or sitting during the interviews, you have their stories, you have how they work, and that really helps you out. It basically broadens your horizon. So make friends everywhere.
Great. Priyanka.
Well, I would say pick the right school. I always have this regret. I don't know why. I think I picked a very expensive school for no reason. But I do think that getting a degree is a good thing. Like overall as an experience, because like it's a different culture. There's so much to learn. So enjoy that process. At the same time, when you are applying for jobs, yeah, it's tough. But then it's still an experience. So just sink it in, just soak everything in and just live life.
John, I know I asked you this question. I'm giving you a minute. Go ahead.
There's just one thing I'd like to say, and this is probably my perspective because of COVID, but I'd like to say that if you feel like staying in your comfort zone in a lot of things, it's fine, because ultimately you have to invest in a little bit of self-care while you are here. So make sure that you, while you're in India, you make sure you know your strengths and limitations very well. That will help you to convert your limitations into strength rather than letting them drag you down. And yeah, this is a good time for you to explore. Once you come to US or any other country, you will be doing a lot of things here and there, looking after the house, looking after yourself, and you won't really have this kind of introspective time. So yeah, just invest time in thinking about things right now. You won't get that time later.
Thank you guys for everything. I think you guys have been phenomenal, and I learned a lot through this whole thing. And if I learned, that means everyone learned. Thank you very much. This was a great experience. Okay, tomorrow we are going to actually focus on we're going to dissect the computer science field. So we're going to have five mentors who are going to talk about various fields with various specializations within computer science. So we request you to join in. It starts at 6 o'clock, I believe. But all the information is available on collegepond.com. Guys, thank you, all of you guys. You guys have been a phenomenal hosts and panelists. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Suraj. It was good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you all. Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.